When did Suge Knight become the commissioner of the Big 12? There's a reason for me to say that. It's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. He is Olin Buchanan and OB. This is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. I actually have an announcement about them here in a moment. But first off, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well.
Yeah?
Yep.
You're dressing, very nice.
Well, I got the
nice.
TexAgs shirt on. We're going to be representing TexAgs a little bit.
Couple
later
speaking
today.
engagements.
Got a couple. I'm going to be over at the Austin doing annual football kickoff with I can't even remember what the event is.
That's
the
good.
bank.
Do you know where to go, though?
Yeah, I do know. Schultz's Beer Garden, hooking up with Kirk Bowles and Cedric Golden. We discuss football at a luncheon, and then on the way back, I'll stop at the Park at Traditions and talk about Aggie football with the good people over there.
Yeah, it's we keep saying it's here, but now it's not really here till Monday, though, right? Monday is when it's really here for us. Although we got football this weekend.
Well, we're inside of 10 days now, right?
We are.
Is it 9 days till kickoff? Yeah.
But the first, I need to see some football, but I really want to see a high-stakes game on the road with a victory.
Yes, true. You're talking about Miami.
Or just a road victory.
Well, that's the first one.
When's the last road victory?
The last true road victory.
Not neutral site.
2020 at Tennessee.
Is that it? No, they didn't win one on the road in 2021. They lost at Ole Miss. That's the last one I remember. I mean, that was the first one of this.
Yeah, they
streak.
call it. Missouri.
Yeah, they won in Missouri. That's it. Yeah, right after Alabama, the week after Alabama.
Yeah, Missouri.
Where they looked really good in the first half and then in the second half.
Yeah, Missouri had one of the worst run defenses in the country, and A&M exploited that. And it was 35-7, and it should have been worse, but Calzada once had Devon A-Chain wide open for an easy touchdown, but the throw was so off target that Devon had to make a great play just to catch it. And then on the next play, Calzada threw an interception. Yeah, they had their opportunities.
They got to win on the road, man. Because I know they'll take care of business here. I know that. They got to win on the road.
Got to win. Just got to win wherever it is.
Everywhere.
At
Here,
home,
there, and everywhere.
Away, neutral site,
whatever.
Parking lot, wherever it is, you got to win.
Well, buddy, it's officially football season because we actually have some football content that is sponsored that we have to get into, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Heisman Watch, brought to you by the Shirtliff Law Firm. Shirtliff Law Firm, delivering justice for those who need it most. Shout out to my buddy Hunter over there. All right, let's get into it, OB. I'm going to be Captain Obvious and tell you who the number one person is on your list.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb Williams. No.
Not necessarily because, look, throughout the history, only one guy's won it twice. Archie Griffin, I think 74-75, maybe 73-74, but I think it's 74-75, so it just doesn't happen. But you look at Caleb Williams and what he's been able to do and the offense he's in and the caliber of competition he's facing, and I can see why he's the favorite. But, I wonder about Jordan Travis at Florida State.
I'm glad you bring that up because I'm starting to think, I looked at their schedule. It is not hard. It is not hard at all. But I'm starting to think they might already have 2 losses when you get to October.
They could have one loss, in the
first week
Sunday.
of the season.
Could be. Yeah.
They play LSU, and I know Mason Smith suspended for that game for autographs that he did with Keyshawn Butte back right before it was legal. It's so stupid. Can they just suspend him for the last game of the year instead of the first game?
Yeah, that'd be all right. But that's such a stupid thing to suspend him for something that everybody can do now.
But I'm of the belief that LSU is going to roll them this year. Okay, I think so. We'll see, but I think so. And then if that happens, they also take on Clemson, new look Clemson, with Garrett Riley and Kate Klubnik being the guy for sure. A couple weeks later, they could have 2 losses when they get to October. What
I worry about is I think LSU and even Clemson, their secondaries may be suspect.
LSU's especially.
And Florida State has some good receivers. So if I'm Jordan Travis and I've got my receivers are better than your DBs, I have a chance to have big games in the games that are going to be the highest profile games I play.
Right.
And so I think Jordan Travis looks like a really good
candidate.
A really good candidate. Blake Corum, running back at Michigan. I think he's a really good candidate. Drake May. I'm not a real believer in Michael Penix at Washington, even though he gets a lot of hype. I'll tell you somebody that is going to be a candidate. And I also should have mentioned Marvin Harrison Jr. Receiver has won it. And Brock Bowers could be the first tight end ever. I mean, he may be the best player, but
he has no chance to win.
But here's the guy. I have two guys. One I'm going to get applause for, and one I'm going to get the pitchforks and the torches.
I already know what the two are.
Yeah.
Let me guess. The one you're going to get applause for. You want me to go there first? Or
go ahead.
Okay. Connor Wigman.
It's Connor Wigman. I'll tell you why. First of all, this is not a homer pick. I don't do that. You know that when it comes to the Heisman. Here's why. I'd say Connor Wigman. I'll be writing this as soon as he gets named starting quarterback. So this is all predicated if he's the A&M starting
He's probably
not
going to win the Heisman if he's the backup.
Right. But first of all, reason number one, how many times has the Heisman Trophy winner been a guy that nobody's talking about before the season starts?
I think
Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
Johnny Manziel. There's been guys since then, right? Very often your Heisman Trophy winner is an obscure guy before the season that just bursts on the scene. It happens a lot.
Sure.
Number two, first of all, he's pretty good. We like what we saw from him.
Yep.
I might have mentioned this before. He has the weapons. So if he can distribute the ball, and he has Bobby Petrino's system, we think. So let's say he's going to feed the studs. If he throws the 5 to 10 yard pass to Anais Smith or Evan Stewart or Moose Muhammad, and then comes the yak, right?
Right.
The yards after catch. The 10-yard throw becomes a 50-yard gain. That's 50 yards of passing yardage. Jason White, who I think is the least impressive Heisman Trophy winner I ever saw, won the Heisman Trophy even though he's probably the fourth best offensive player on the team.
Right.
Throw the ball short, let my guys go and make big plays, and it shines on me and win the Heisman Trophy. So I think the guy that could be that dark horse guy is Connor Wigman, provided he's the starting quarterback. The guy that –
Oh, I know who it is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I say it?
Go ahead.
Quinn.
It's Quinn Ewers.
Yep.
Again, good receivers. And I talked about Caleb Williams and the level of competition he faces. Well, in most weeks, Quinn Ewers is going to be facing a level of competition where his receivers are significantly better than the guys covering them. And you know who one of those teams might be?
Texas
where his
Tech.
Receivers are better than the guys covering him?
Texas Tech?
Alabama.
Oh, Alabama.
And if he has a big game throwing the ball against Alabama to his receivers,
I'm a little worried about that game.
that's going to get their attention.
I'm going to root for Alabama that day, just for the record.
I'm going to root for injuries. No, I'm not. I never want anybody to get hurt. Never, ever, ever. But, I have a hard time rooting for anything for either of those teams.
So you saw what your Mark said yesterday, Texas Tech?
That's a really bad thing to say if you're
It's a bad look, but I don't think that automatically means the officials have it out, because that's what the big response was on social media. Well, if the commissioner is already rooting against you, then the referees are going to be against you too. You
shouldn't say that.
Did he say more tongue in cheek or?
No, when he says I want you to take care of business, I don't care if it's tongue in cheek. You're talking about as a commissioner, Texas is still in your conference for you, and I get it if you want to say that off stage and say,
right.
Man,
but on stage,
coach,
but. He is at the mercy of the university presidents, and the university presidents that are leaving don't matter to him. It's all about the guys that are there, the guys that are there are upset with Texas and OU.
What if Texas loses to Texas Tech and there's a very controversial
Then
call?
He's opened up the door.
And he's open, and maybe, I wonder if you get to a point where somebody can't take a legal action. You can get put in jail for fixing a game.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that that would happen, but what if you lost on a very controversial play? I know A&M's like A&M and Clemson.
Yep.
Courtney Courtney Lewis. Was it Courtney Lewis? Courtney Davis.
Yes, Courtney
Davis. Lewis was the running back for you. Courtney Davis fumbles out of bounds. It's clear it's out of bounds. Everybody knew it was out of bounds except for one official who was a complete buffoon and says, no, it went through the end zone. No, it didn't. It couldn't have possibly. But let's say you get that kind of call. And
now you've opened up the door.
And then, can you sue and say, look, this is what he said. The officials were corrupt.
Yeah. Hey, what's the name of this show?
This particular one?
This particular hour. We have a name
This
for
is
it.
the Go Hour.
Who's it presented by?
C&C Creations.
Which is the warehouse, right?
The warehouse,
yeah,
C&C
yeah.
Creations.
Maroon never looked so good with Maroon U. Did
it
you
looks
know
pretty
that?
good on me today.
Well, yeah, it looks really good.
Maroon and white.
You got that there.
I did, as a matter of fact.
Well, on Sunday, I recommend many people go and get a bunch of TexAgs gear during the Maroon U signing event from 4 to 6 o'clock. You know who's going to be there? I'll give you some names.
Aggies.
Oh, yeah, the Aggies are going to be there. But which Aggies in
Connor
particular?
Wigman?
Connor Wigman's going to be there. Evan Stewart's going to be there. Damani Richardson's going to be there.
Is Anaya Smith going to be there?
Anais is going to be there.
Shoot.
Moose. Tyreek Chappelle. Bryce Anderson.
I like Bryce Anderson.
Noah.
He's going to sign autographs 2 by 2.
Amari. Le'Veon
Moss.
Ruben Owens.
And Ruben freaking Owens.
Freaking Fans Appreciation Day. Fan Appreciation Day. One fan.
Look, it's just they appreciate the fans more than one day.
But that's a good day.
This is a special.
They've done these events before. They're fun. They're a great time.
Go.
But freaking Stu, Wags, Damani, Moose, Tyreek, Anais. I'm on a first name basis with these guys.
So we don't use going to show up and sign autographs too?
I mean, if Maroon U wants me to. I wonder if my boys are working that day. If they're working, maybe they'll take a little picture.
I would think every day, everybody works on that day.
Yeah.
I would think.
I'll take a double shift that day, sir. I'll work the afternoon 4 to 6 if you don't mind. All right, that's at Maroon U there, 4 to 6 on Sunday. Let's go behind the glass and say hi to a very happy soul. His name is Nick Savage. Nick, good morning, sir.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
How are you?
I'm happy. Thank you.
Well, there's something we haven't seen much lately.
Actually,
man.
A happy Savage.
Actually, I think Nick for about 10 to 12 days has been happy. I think he was always happy, but then he realized that sometimes he comes across as since the Manziel documentary, I think he's made an effort to show that this is the real me.
Hey, Savage, why are you so damn happy today?
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of getting excited for high school football. That I know that gets started today technically, but my team that I cover, Rudder, they get started tomorrow. But I'm just excited to keep up with all that. So that has something to do with it.
What a great mascot at Rudder.
Freaking Rudder Rangers.
The Rudder Rangers.
Freaking
and
double R's.
The history of it for Rudder and his Rangers. And it's not just taking an animal. If you're going to have an animal, make it indigenous. But,
I said koala would be a good one.
Well, if you're in Australia, this young lady that's
Leanna, who's going to start with us soon, yeah.
Yeah, but, anybody can be an animal. That's why I like Aggies. It's a human. You can say, yeah, I'm an Aggie. If you say you're a Longhorn, and say, really, you're really not. It's a big cow. I mean, I've seen some that might be cow-like.
Right.
But yeah.
Rudder
Rangers might be the second best mascot in Texas.
Who would be first?
Oh, the White Oak Roughnecks, of course.
Oh, of course. They were number one on my list as well. Nick, what's on your mind this morning beyond just being happy about high school football?
Yeah, just kind of going back to that Heisman conversation. It's maybe more of a question for OB or both of y'all. I don't understand. I'm just looking at odds and, take that for what you will. But, why is it that Carson Beck, a guy that hasn't taken a snap, in college football,
I'll tell you why
is he in the top 15 and, Ohio State's quarterback?
Because they have the most talented team in America, and they have skill position, and they'll probably be undefeated come November, so he'll have to be in the conversation.
The quarterback of a national championship contender is always a Heisman Trophy contender.
Correct. Doesn't mean he'll get invited to New York, but he'll be in the conversation.
Yes.
Just like, I think, back to Olin's point about Connor. If this team is in the discussion come November, Connor will be in the discussion come November.
Without a doubt. It's just a fact of life. If you're a national championship contender, you get Heisman Trophy, and you're the quarterback of that national championship contender. You get Heisman Trophy buzz.
Were you a Facts of Life fan?
No, not really.
No?
Even though
Trudy, Miss Garrett,
I actually was in a one-act play in the 8th grade against the school. Lisa Welchel, wasn't that her name? She was the one that was named Blair.
Blair, yeah.
And so we competed against her.
All right.
And her team,
lost.
Her school, Lake Worth, won.
Oh, they won.
And we, Crowley, did not.
She's from Texas. I did not know that. Huh.
Lake Worth.
Lake Worth.
The Bullfrogs.
A man worth many words is Luke Evangelist there at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Luke, good morning, buddy.
Good morning, David.
How can that guy be coming in when you see the Angry Elephant? Then you go to him,
he's just smiling.
And he's got this big smile on his face.
Yeah, I got a lot to smile about. Last time I was on here, there were just so many really great things said about me, and so I just, so many things to smile.
Hey, I'd be able to say, from the Angry Elephant, we go to the Angry Evangelista.
Yeah, well, I feel bad because
Evangelist.
It's become a thing, and I've taken Luke under my wing. I was like, look, let's forget about that date. I know you came at the King and you missed. It's all good. We'll start all over.
I didn't miss. I had a couple, but I'm gonna be back. Okay.
And I'm just gonna tell you, it's not a good idea to be an intern and come at the host. It's not a good idea. In my mind, the way I work is I'm already thinking about the next step. I'm just thinking. So just calm down.
I believe the phrase for that. Now, stop me if you've heard this before. But there's a common phrase called living rent-free. Mm-hmm. And David, I don't want to take up too much space in your mind. And so I appreciate you thinking about me. I really do. But at some point,
it's interesting.
I just want you to really focus on your work. And I don't want you to have to worry about me and what you're going to say about me.
Well, I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to bring out a point. Yesterday, you came up the stairs, and I think people are living in your head rent-free because you're like, there's a post about me, and it hurts. Do you remember that?
I didn't say it hurts. I said, this is really funny. You're going to laugh at it.
All right, LT, let's continue.
Okay. So our boys in Needville, we're very good friends with them.
1-0.
Yeah. It was a really close game yesterday against Seattle, Washington. They moved to 4-0, and they're into the U.S. Championship game, so that game's going to be Saturday at 3:30.
Who do we play?
We don't know yet.
And we are Needville.
We are Needville.
TexAgs is Needville.
I need Needville to win.
I feel good about their chances. I don't know why. I mean, they just beat everybody. Why wouldn't they?
Why wouldn't they? Hey, and I'm proud of them. So they beat California, one West Coast cesspool, and then they go to Seattle, the ultimate West Coast cesspool. So go Needville.
All day, day, my friend. What else do we have?
Yeah, so Texas A&M Athletics announced yesterday that season tickets and student sports passes were sold out. That's over 53,000 season tickets and 39,000 sports passes, which is pretty incredible.
That is pretty cool.
That's amazing. 39,000 students, whereas other places like Michigan are begging their students to come. Alabama. Remember Saban just a few years ago was lecturing the students for leaving early and stuff like that? That's amazing. That's right there is a reason to come to A&M for the student support.
Let's hit a break. We're going to come back with 23 and 23.
Okay.
A lot of people think they know who number 2 is and who number 1 is. Do they have the right order? I don't know if they do, OB.
I don't know. We'll see.
But when I think of number 1, I think these are getting too cheesy. Let's do a legit I know we believe what we say about Fargo's, but let's pretend like it's a real commercial.
Okay, it's a real commercial.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to talk about Fargo, 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan. Without a doubt,
the best barbecue in the world.
What do we like about Fargo's, OB?
Everything.
Tell me what they have today.
Well, today is Thursday. So
this is terrible. This is even worse than when we just do the love thing on the. It's great.
Well, today's Thursday, so you can get the big, thick, juicy pork chop and the ultimate side, the macaroni, both of them, macaroni and cheese.
It's 1 to me, but it can be 2 for others.
Well, they come together to become great.
It's like a good marriage.
You
become one.
It's like a great team.
Yeah, and they got green beans.
They do.
They got red potatoes.
Huh. I mean, you talk about all coming together,
And then tomorrow, if you're, not into eating meat on Fridays, you got an option.
A lot of people aren't. If you're, is that the Catholic persuasion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's during Lent. It's not all year.
Oh, okay. I thought it was.
But
every Friday.
Some people.
When I was a kid, every Friday at school they served fish sticks.
Oh.
Right. So I just assumed that was. But So if you are of that persuasion, or if you just like catfish, you can get the 4 C's.
They have 4 of them?
The 4 C's from the 7 C's. You got catfish.
Okay, I like those.
You got corn.
I like that.
Coleslaw.
I like that.
And
No, actually, I don't.
I do, though. And you need crunchy hush puppies.
Great options. They've been around for about 22 years. Football weekends, office parties, weddings, and anniversaries. 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan. It is Fargo's, without a doubt.
The best barbecue in the world.
That's their trademark because
it's true.
It's Fargo's.
What I got.
Hey there.
Hey there. Smoldering hot.
TexAgs Radio. Presented by David Gardner
That's my
Steelers.
name.
Here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. And it is now time for 23 and 23, presented by The Charge Apparel, Aggie-owned and operated premier polos and tees made in the USA. 12% of total sales are donated to organizations supporting veterans and mental health initiatives. You can visit them at thechargeapparel.com or find them on Instagram at The Charge Apparel or Twitter, The Charge Brand. Before I say who it is, I want to remind people how we got here, okay? You had a list.
I did.
I had a list.
You did.
I had a particular set of criteria to come up with my list. I think you said you did yours based on feel. Is that fair? And
more on production.
On production.
Than potential.
Okay.
But I mixed both together.
Okay. Billy had his own, right? So there's 3/4 of how we came up with the number. Then we opened it up to the subscribers to vote, and we had like somebody way smarter than me, Brighton, come up with like a database or whatever, spreadsheet. What am I looking for, Luke? What's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, it's like a coding database.
Coding, yeah. Do you know how to code?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. Neither do I. We're going to need Brighton back next year. But that being said, they all were given a value. Then we took the average, and that's how we came up with it. So some people, yes, you're like, why is McKinley 3, not 1? Why is Noah Thomas high? Why is this? Because we took everybody's evaluations and averaged them together, and that's how we came up with number 2, who happens to be
Anaya Smith.
So before we go to number, well, because people want to talk about number 1 because of number 2. Number 1 will be tomorrow. You may not know who it is. Number 2 is Anaya Smith because what we've seen, and because I think what makes him so versatile. He's a versatile player that you can use in so many different ways.
He really is, and you know, Anaya Smith is so good without the ball in his hands. How did he get hurt last year? He was throwing a block downfield. Anaya Smith, I remember when A&M beat Alabama, and of course, after Seth Small kicked the field goal, of course, the first guy he's going to congratulate him is going to be Constantino, his holder.
Right.
The next guy who was on the sideline was Anaya Smith out there. You know, watch the video. You know? And so it means
it just means more.
And it means so much to Anaya Smith. I remember when Zach Calzada was horrible and lost to Mississippi State. And after the game, there was Anaya Smith saying, "Hey, come on, build him up. This isn't over." Anaya Smith's a leader. Anaya Smith is invested emotionally. He wants to win. It's important. But Anaya Smith goes out and makes plays. He has scored 4 touchdowns in the last 2 games against Alabama. I mean, Anaya Smith is a guy that, and frankly, and this is what's amazing, is SEC media is actually paying attention. They actually know, because they pretty much forget that A&M exists when it comes time to recognize players. But Anaya Smith is so good, you can't ignore him.
Mm-hmm.
And having him back, they would have won a couple more games had Anaya Smith not gotten hurt last year. But having him back is one of the key reasons why you can expect A&M to be significantly better this year.
I think he plays with an edge, right? He practices with an edge. There's like this intensity that he wears on his face and that you see in each rep. He does so much for the team. And I almost feel like, OP, it's a cheat code with what we're going to see with him this year with Bobby Petrino, because I love Jimbo. I do. The offense the last couple of years has not been creative enough. And a guy like him in a creative offense, I think, is a cheat code. It's a video game, the kind of things that he might be able to do this year.
Yeah, I would think that any offensive coordinator with some imagination first thing they would see with Anaya Smith's, okay, what can I do with this?
Yep.
I think he's like a Deebo Samuel when he was at South Carolina, Kadarius Toney when he was at Florida. He's that kind of guy that can do a whole lot of things. I don't know if he has the straight line speed that those guys, even though he looks awful fast to me.
Yep.
But he's just, you know what? He's a good football player. You put him at running back, he was good. You move him to receiver, he's good. If you put him at quarterback, he'd probably be good. But he's just a good football player. And you find a guy that's going to be able to get him the ball consistently, like we think Connor Wigman will do, or Max, and a coach that's going to find ways to get him open and get him advantageous matchups. And you could see a great player like Anais Smith have his greatest season ever.
So, again, my criteria, you lost a couple of points, if you will. Because, by the way, any of our top 4 or 5 guys could be number 1. Like, honestly, I think it's that close. You can make an argument if Connor played the entire season, he could have been number 1. McKinley Jackson absolutely can be number 1. The guy that we have left that, nobody knows who it is, has an argument for number 1. The reason Anais lost a couple of points, for me, and the only reason, is because he got hurt. Same with McKinley. They both didn't play an entire season, so when I'm doing my little grading system that I had, you don't get full credit for that because you played a little injured. It's not his fault. I'm looking for reasons to separate, and that was one of my reasons. If he's not hurt, he's absolutely – he already could have been number 1 on this list.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Alabama defensive back didn't get hurt when Anais faked him out of his shoes to catch that touchdown pass and tie up that game.
Yeah.
I thought he would have had a sprained ankle because Anais just faked him out of his shoes. Remember the 2 years or the year before that? They throw a little dump-off pass to him, and he's running down the sideline, and they think they're going to push him out of bounds. And he has such balance that the guy tries to shove him out of bounds, and he maintains his balance. He makes it to like a 50-yard touchdown. Yeah. Again, what was I talking about? Connor Wigman throwing short, making it in the 50-yard gains. You're going to see more of that from all the receivers, but especially Anais Smith.
Did you make maybe I missed it, a Noah's Ark joke?
Well, I said
because Mark is commenting on the YouTube page.
I said when Noah's going to be signing autographs, so he'll probably be signing them 2 by 2.
There you go. By the way, we did reach 10,000 subscribers on YouTube.
How about that?
We didn't talk about it yesterday because I don't know, like we were just busy and whatever. But we've reached it.
But we really need to get 20.
That might take 5 years,
or
5 days.
5 days.
Gosh, if you're listening to this show and you're not really a YouTuber, become one. But also frequent us on the CW, on the Zone, and also TexAgs.com.
And we thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Olin has offered to give anybody who subscribes a group hug at the TexAgs tailgate.
Well, I don't know if I can hug 10,000 people.
You could, okay, solo hugs, a line.
All the female subscribers.
Okay, Heritage Films time. That's my buddy, Chance McClain, in Heritage Films.
I think Luke is very uncomfortable with what he thinks is probably my politically incorrect statements.
Chance McClain with Heritage Films again. They make documentary films about your family, your parents, your own story, right? Like Olin's got a story, White Oak's best, right?
I'm probably not in the top 100, but thank you.
The first time
I have a story.
The first time you were on America's Most Wanted, I'm sure people were very proud of you.
They were.
Yeah.
They were.
Well, they can have a documentary done about OB. They can do it about your dad, your uncle, your father. It's cool. Chance does these 2-hour documentaries. He's done Broadway musicals. He's done movies, nominated for awards, gone to red carpet shows, started a radio station. He's just a good old boy, down to earth, who does these stories. And he's also now doing these things called a year flicks, which is more for the younger crowd, right? 12, 13, 14-year-olds. You can do a story on your kid, and it's like a 20-minute video, Q&A, green screen in the background. It's just awesome. We did it with my daughter, Annalise. It takes about 8 to 10 weeks to finish, and Chance is a slave to the process, and I'm telling you, you're going to love it. It is Heritage Films, the website, yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341. All right, we are back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the hotline. We're joined by our QB1, Paragon Financial, Stephen McGee here on the program. Stephen, good morning, buddy.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. How are we doing?
I'm good. Hey, so we should probably do a little programming update to the audience. Starting next week with our football schedule, Steven's going to be doing a hit with Ryan Swope on Thursdays at 9 a.m. They'll be doing a double dip together. So I think, and tell me if I'm right here, Steven, you're going to try to join us for the last segment of the Go Hour and then do that first segment with Swope?
Yeah, you're the boss. You tell me, I'll be there. Well, looking forward to it, though. Swopey's always he always provides the fire content, and I love to be there to listen to it. So it'll be good times.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Hey, so I wanted to follow me here on this buy, sell, or lease, okay? Because there's going to take some thinking, okay? And it's actually not a hard answer, I don't think, but just follow me. It says, would you buy, sell, or lease which one of these options? 9-3, but a tie for the SEC lead, but lose the last game of the year, okay? So you're 9-3. All the teams, Alabama, LSU, A&M, probably tied for 9-3 for that lead. You have a chance to go to Atlanta, but that's not for sure. You go 10-2 is the other option, but you finish second. Or another one, you finish third at 9-3, but you have wins over Bama, LSU, and Tennessee.
All right, we win the West at 9-3.
You're tied for the lead. Okay, I'm not telling you if that means you're going to Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one I would have to take, just the chance to go to Atlanta, because that's what it's all about. So let's do that. But I guess it does exclude you from any type of championship game. Would you make the play? Question at 9-3. Well, here's my answer. I would say I'm going to buy whichever one, the 10-2 or the 9-3, that allows me the best shot to get into playoffs. Forget about the SEC championship. I think the last place is the 9-3, but you're second in the West and you beat the good teams. But that probably means we lose to like App State again or whoever, New Mexico. So,
when I wrote down that question, it looked a lot better than when I actually said it out loud. OB, go ahead.
Well, do I get to pick the teams that I lose to? If I'm 9-3,
yeah.
Okay, then I lost to. I'll take losses to ULM, and I'll take losses to Miami, and I'll take losses to New Mexico.
Okay, but you beat all the good
teams. But I beat everybody else. I'll take that. Yeah. But beyond that, I guess I would have to say I would take the 9-3 with a chance to get to the SEC championship, because that's, first of all, if you're 10-2, Alabama showed us last year 2 losses and you're out. Mm-hmm. So either way, you're out of the playoff picture with 2 losses. So give me 9-3, and it's at least I still
have a backdoor chance.
Have a chance.
Yeah.
Because if I'm 9-3, I've lost to LSU in the last game, but maybe I've beaten Alabama. So maybe it's at 3. I don't know what LSU is, what their record is. Maybe they're 8-4.
Right.
I don't know what Alabama's record is. So maybe they have the same record as I do, but I beat them. So I'll take the 9-3, because the reason you're doing this is to win championships. And so if the other two says I'm already out of the championship picture, then I'll take the one that at least still has me in the championship discussion.
Right. Again, that was a very convoluted question. Sounded great at 5 in the morning. Not so good on the radio. Anais Smith, he's our number 2 in our 23 and 23. Stephen, what makes Anais, in your eyes, so special?
He's got that compete in him. He comes across as a guy that I've never been in the huddle with him. Obviously, he seems to be the guy that loves football, that will sign up to play football in the 120-degree heat on pavement if it meant doing that. I think he's just he's the consummate teammate. He's out there lining up as a running back, blocking for another running back, which you don't see often from a talented wide receiver. He lines up in the slot, makes explosive plays in the pass game. He's in kick returns. He does it all, and I think that's what winners do. I think that's what great teammates do. Just the answer is always yes. Hey, can you block this guy? Yes. Can you line up here? Yes. Will you do this? Yes. And I think he's a great Aggie, and I'm excited. I hope his knee is healthy. He's able to perform to his full ability.
So he's number 2 on the list. If healthy, he could be number 1, right?
Oh, there's no doubt. He's a difference maker. He's been that for the last couple of years when he is healthy. The unfortunate part about football is, injuries do play a role. And I think that is everyone's concern, being that he's a very shifty, mobile guy. Will he return to his old form?
I think he will. I think if he wasn't, we probably would have heard some
grumblings.
All the things that Stephen just mentioned are true, but I guarantee you he's also that guy when he got hurt and they said, okay, this is what you're going to have to do on a daily basis to get back to what you were or even improve. And I guarantee he's the guy that says, okay, I'm going to do every one of them. And he did.
Yep.
How do you think they're going to use him this year, Stephen? Like, is it going to be similar to what we saw in year, was it 2020, where they put him in the backfield, they put him out wide, they put him in motion? How do you see them using Ainias Smith?
I think the answer is yes. It'll be interesting to see how Petrino interprets that. I would imagine his primary role will be in the slot, with the tight end situation, a little bit of a question mark. I would imagine you see a lot of 2 running backs and 3 wide receivers, so 20 personnel as opposed to 11 or 12 personnel, 2 tight ends. I think so. He can replace maybe in the past that Y position. It's going to be very, very interesting. That's definitely a hole that you will have to plug as far as different personnel groups. And I think Ainias can fill, understand, you have some talented running backs, but can they do all the things? Do they know where to line up? Do they know all the pass game routes? They know all the hot answers. So there's a lot that goes into that. And I think Ainias checks those boxes. So that maturity and that leadership will be a big help in that huddle for sure.
I can't wait to see Ainias in Bobby Petrino's system. He caught one pass last year against Arkansas, and it was like on a 3rd and 20.
Yep.
And he gained 32 yards. And to see him getting the matchups and try to get the ball in the open field, because Ainias, you get him in the open field, he's as slippery as a wet bar of soap. He is hard to catch and hard to get down, and I just can't wait to see the way he's utilized.
Stephen, who were some of your sports heroes growing up?
The typical, I was a big Cowboy fan, so it was the Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin era. Michael Jordan, loved watching the Bulls back in the day, big Bulls guy. And then as I would say that I love Tiger Woods. I always enjoyed him compete on Sunday. Very few golfers do you feel like have his chance every Sunday, no matter where they are on the leaderboard. And he was the guy that just seemed to always have that competitive greatness, the ability to come back. And I enjoyed watching that for sure.
Sounds like you probably met one of your sports heroes. I assume you met with your time with the Cowboys, Troy Aikman, at some point. How was that experience?
Yeah, definitely did. He's a nice guy, very dry. Good guy. Not as entertaining as guys like Michael Irvin and people like you would expect to be pretty charismatic. Got to meet Tiger Woods as well because he was friends with Romo, and that was a really cool deal. Obviously, he was working out. He's so committed to the game. It was 24/7 for him, and so.
Well, first of all, go ahead.
Yeah, people aren't always what you would expect them to be behind the scenes. They'll surprise you.
That's true. First of all, I thought when you asked him his heroes, he was going to say Byron Williams. Sure. But I actually was covering a Texas-Stanford football game out in Palo Alto.
Yeah.
And my job was to go in and do the Texas opposition's reaction. So I go into the locker room, and there's Tiger Woods. I'm standing as close to Tiger Woods as I am to you, sitting to you, maybe even closer. And I thought to myself, what can I say to him that won't come off as being just idiotic? And then I thought, nothing. So I didn't say anything.
Nothing. Oh, dang. Right. Well, what first came to mind, OB? That's the important question.
But I think, hey, some game, huh? What are you gonna say? I saw Herschel Walker in the airport in Atlanta, and I was a big fan of her. And I said, "Hey, Herschel." He said, "Hey, how you doing?" And he just kept walking. Right. So I hope Stephen had more positive interaction. I did have good interaction with Troy Aikman once, but I hope Stephen had better positive interaction.
You guys have listened to the show enough to probably know I met my 2 sports heroes growing up. Do you know who they are?
I don't.
JJ Watt.
No, I'm old. I can be his dad. I'm older than JJ by a lot. No, but I have met
Craig Biggio.
No. Jose Canseco.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Jose Canseco.
And Charles Barkley. And I met them both. And they were both great.
I was at a TGI Fridays by the Arlington Stadium once, and Ozzy and Jose were in there eating, and they got up and left, and
they didn't pay the bill?
The waitress came over and said, they never pay and they never tip.
They had a reputation. All right, let's hit a break. We'll come back with more with Stephen McGee.
I bet McGee tips.
Oh, they call him the Big Tipper.
I can see that. Actually, I can't. He's a miser.
We'll come back with more Stephen here in a moment. Right now, we're talking about the Association of Former Students. If you are looking for a reason to move back to Aggie land, or you're already in Aggie land looking for a great opportunity to help Aggies, how about the Association of Former Students who are seeking to hire professionals to join their team? There are positions open in communications, fundraising, former students programs, campus programs, and much, much more. They are the nation's premier alumni association and the oldest organization serving A&M in support of that Aggie network. The association plays a part in each and every Aggie story from Howdy to Here. Don't miss the opportunity to help the association with Howdy specials, Aggie Ring Day, the class reunions, Aggie Muster, and everything in between. Join a team that exemplifies the Aggie core values of excellence, integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service, all in support of that worldwide Aggie network. If you're interested in joining the team or sharing with someone who would be a great fit, please visit tx.ag/association jobs to apply and get more information on each position. It's the Association of Former Students. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creation. Stephen McGee is on the hotline, our QB1 from Paragon Financial. All right, Stephen.
Hey, David, Stephen, and Olin, I got something that the Commander-in-Chief, Billy Lucci, wants y'all to see. So if you can put that up there, Zoe. That is Mr. Troy Aikman with Billy Lucci, and here I'll show that to you.
Oh, look at that.
And he texts in and says, he didn't think he was dry at all. Much more wit than Dr. McGee had.
Oh, my goodness.
The ultimate question I have is who looks better? I'm going to have to go with Luch and the hair.
Well, how can you tell?
I'm sorry.
All I'm seeing is the top of a black hat. And how can you tell?
No, that's a Troy Aikman winner right there.
I think if I was having my picture taken with Troy Aikman, I'd take off the hat and the sunglasses, make sure everybody knows it was me.
Yeah, I think Lucci looks like he's hiding from the paparazzi, trying to cover his face. That's what it looks like.
Or he's embarrassed or ashamed of himself.
But it looks like
God knows what Billy must have done before that. Maybe he was ashamed.
I think it's cool that Aikman seeked out Billy to take a picture with him.
I do too. That's the ultimate story. Let's not overlook that. And the second question is who looks better, more athletic? I'm gonna have to take Luch on this one.
You know,
he's got a good trainer.
Lucci's a big guy. Can we agree to that? And he's a big guy. And Trey Zune came in last week, and they were saying, and Trey Zune is a monster.
Yeah,
he made Lucci look like a small guy.
Yeah,
God, that's huge.
Hey, now,
I wonder how Trey Zune would look next to Troy Aikman.
Pretty big. Pretty big. This is falling off the rails. Stephen, A&M will do blank to win 10 games. What do they have to do to win 10 games? At least 10 games, let's say.
You got to have an explosive offense. There's no doubt about it. And you have to get really good quarterback play. That this football team is going to win 10 right now without Connor Wigman playing at an elite level. He's got to take what he did last year and build on it and be a better football player. And quite frankly, I'm a little bit concerned that he hasn't been named the starter yet at this point. And I know Jimbo has this deal where he likes to name it late, but man, we're getting a week out from kickoff, and Max Johnson's outplayed him, and they're thinking, man, we got to figure this out. That's not a good situation, in my opinion, going into the season.
I think they already know. They just haven't told us yet.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
How about A&M will score first every game? It seems like the Aggies last year were always trying to come from behind.
How about like winning by double digits at halftime every once in a while?
How about just average about 40 points a game?
I think they're going to average 34 plus.
Okay, 34 plus. I'll take
That's
it.
what I think.
I'll take it.
You agree with that, Stephen?
I love it.
I hope that doesn't mean they scored 80 against New Mexico.
I would love to see all that happen.
All right, we'll drop it there, Stephen. I'll see you next week here in studio. All right, bud?
All right, thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you. Stephen McGee there. Paragon Financial, RQB1. Olin, safe travels on
Thank
your
you.
way to the Hill Country, Austin, all the
heading
good
to
stuff.
Austin. Going to talk Aggie football. I'm going to be there to represent, talk A&M.
Is it become an argument between Texas and A&M, or is it like all buds?
We probably have some jabs at each other here and there.
All right. Good luck, buddy.
All right.
When we come back, Bubba Bean, Aggie legend. Bubba Bean,
Kirbyville, Texas, right?
in studio.
Really?
Sports Illustrated cover boy back in the day.
I used to have that one.
We got to hit a break. It's TexAgs. All right, we're back. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's talk to an Aggie legend. He's been on the cover of Sports Illustrated. He was a 4-year starter here at A&M, rushed for 2,846 yards, led the Aggies in rushing his last 3 seasons before heading to the NFL. Our next guest, Bubba Bean. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. And you?
I'm doing well. So when I saw you in the lobby earlier, I was like, this dude could still play.
Looks are deceiving.
Yeah, is that
Very
right?
deceiving. I'm still having trouble swinging a golf club, so no, football's not my thing now.
No, but we were talking at the break earlier that you still have that competitive fire and you get it at the golf course.
Yes, playing with Mark Dennard and Phil Bennett, Mark in particular, very competitive. He was our center. He's 2 years behind me. So I play with him, and you know, we don't cut each other any slack. It's full bore.
So what are you doing these days?
I actually work for the city of Bryan as a neighborhood youth outreach coordinator. I do a lot of work with the neighborhood associations and like Boys and Girls Club, helping them do some things as far as fundraising and things like that. I get a chance to play golf doing my job, which makes it even better.
It seems to me that football for you was a chapter in your life, but you are much more than a football player.
Very much so. I think, you know, from starting when I was 7th grade until you play up to 5 or 6 years in the NFL, that's a period of my life I'm very proud of. I'm grateful my kids had a chance to see me play, but that was a small bit of my life. I don't want to be judged based on that. So now I try to do things that are good for me, good for my family, and good for the people that I surround myself with.
So let's kind of go back and we'll kind of catch up where we are now. How did you end up at A&M? Why did you pick A&M? How'd you get here?
Long story. R.C. Slocum started recruiting me, I think, when I was a sophomore.
Okay.
And R.C. was a guy that had gotten real close with my mom and dad. So once that happened and Coach Ballard moved here from UT, R.C. took the job here, and I was with him the day he accepted it. And all the things he was telling me about Kansas State, he turned around and said, well, you know, it gets awful cold up there. He knew I'd never been anywhere. So he said, let me tell you about A&M now. So that was how it started. And then from there, it was just Coach Ballard kind of closing the deal. And keep in mind, this was during a time when freshmen were available to play the first year. And
you were the first class to be able to do that?
First class,
yeah.
And when we came in, they were talking about running the wishbone, which was give you an option of 3 running backs in the backfield plus a quarterback, so there was a chance to play. And when we got here, I got moved up right away, so I didn't get a chance to play freshman ball, which was a 5-game season, if I remember. But it was great, got my feet wet, and then the next year it kind of took off with some of the other guys we started recruiting.
2-part question here. First off, I think Coach Slocum was, at least that first year, was doing offense, right? He was an offensive analyst or something to that effect, I believe.
He's 1972.
Okay.
He was, I think, a linebackers coach.
Oh, was he linebackers coach at that point? And then what is that relationship like? What does he mean to you?
Well, played golf with him last week.
Yeah.
Was happy to see that he's doing well with this cancer situation. But RC's always been close to my mom and dad. He would go by and visit even once I was already here. He didn't have any other reason to go back to Kirbyville. But has been a big part of my family over the years. I get to see him now from time to time. And like I said, we played golf last week for the first time, I think, in a long time.
So the Longhorns, I know, was very important to you to beat them. How important was it? Kind of take me through some of those battles.
Well, I guess we were part of a group that didn't have that so-called hatred for the opposing team only because they were Texas. We just wanted to win. We didn't care who it was. So it took a while for us to get enough people here to be competitive with Texas because they were light years away ahead of us at the time. But the next year after we came, we recruited guys like Lester Hayes and that crew. And so that was a group of guys that were going to go on and play at the next level, and we became competitive. Unfortunately, we never won a championship, but we were ranked number 2 our senior year, and they switched the schedule. We played Arkansas last instead of Texas, and we wind up beating Texas, but we go to Arkansas and lay an egg.
Oh, wow.
And we wind up getting beat in the bowl game. So we go 10-2 that year.
Remind me, was there a back and forth with you and Raymond Claiborne during one of the games, and where you thought you scored, everybody thought you scored, but they didn't call it? Am I right there?
You are exactly right. I'll go to my grave thinking that I did. Yeah. Ray and I have talked over the years. I don't see him that much now. I don't think he plays golf anymore, but yeah, I think I did because I don't think I ever touched the ground. I was laying on him when I rolled into the end zone. But we wound up scoring and beating them, 20-10.
Yeah, what a great journey there.
Yeah.
So I know that you don't follow football the way you used to, but Texas is going to be joining the SEC next year.
Mm-hmm.
From history standpoint, what does that mean, getting that rivalry back?
I guess it would be different if it wasn't in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
The SEC seems like every week somebody's a rival. If you don't beat one of the Mississippi schools, you're not going to go very far. Then you always have LSU there, and it's a tough road to hoe. I mean, and being in the middle of it, I can't imagine having to gear up like that week in and week out. And once again, until you beat somebody, you can call them a rival if you want to. Doesn't mean it's a rival.
Well, a rivalry really is. There's got to be a back and forth,
yes.
right? Because at least in your eyes it may be, but the other program, it's not.
Yeah, exactly.
We're talking to Bubba Bean here in studio, looking back at his history. What about your group of Aggies that you played with? I know you played golf with a couple of them. Like, how close of a group was it?
It was a lot different than it is now because when we first came, when I say we, there were 8 black athletes that signed that year. Out of the 8, 5 of us stayed. All 5 of us graduated, and all 5 of us played pro sports. So I think that was a kicking off point of getting not just an athlete, but a great athlete to come to A&M. We made it kind of the thing to do. The next year, the Lester Hayes, that group of guys showed up. And it just continued from there. Being able to play as a true freshman was a shock when you first get here. But my concept of it was, I'm joining a backfield. There's 3 other guys back here that have an opportunity to run the ball too. So when you get your chance, you better make the best of it, because back then, days of running the ball 20, 25 times, just non-existent. Right. If you got 10 or 15 shots during a game, that was a big day.
It's interesting you say that, because if you look at last year's football team, there were so many young players that were learning the game, and they weren't ready even as 5-stars. You lived it. You know what it's like to be the freshman who's got a lot of skill. You did well, but it was learning for you as well.
Mm-hmm. It is. I mean, the first time you have to step up in a line of scrimmage and take on a guy that's 6'4", 240, he's got a running start, and you're standing flat-footed, it'll test your spine there real quick. And it's different when you come out of high school, because most of the time you're the best thing that school had. So it takes some adjustment, and it's not just one play. It's every play, it's every down, it's every game, it's every week. So it's a tough road to hoe.
When you're in high school and you're that level of player, you are the featured player, but you're playing against everybody's featured player at the college level.
Exactly. And it even becomes more intense when you get to the next level.
Let's go back to, I think, December 8th, 1975. I did some research. What do you remember about that cover of SI, how it all kind of came down?
Oh, man, didn't know it was going to happen. I got a cover. I got the cover I'm not sure exactly when they called and said that they were going to do it. But to me, it wasn't that big of a deal. We were still in the hunt for a national championship. That's what my focus was on. This came to fruition, later on. But it's been good. I mean, it's not something I hang my hat on. That was a year of my life. That was, a great year of my life. But to me, it's more about what you do afterwards. Because like a surgeon, he doesn't go back and watch people operate all the time. He moves on to another stage in his life. So that's kind of where I am now.
Something tells me if Instagram and Facebook were around back in your day, you probably wouldn't have been on it. That wasn't your thing.
Bubba Bean doesn't do it now.
Yeah.
I don't have any Instagram accounts. None of the social media stuff. I'll text my friends and receive an email.
Right.
That's the extent of what I do. It's just to me. I could care less what people think about what I'm doing, as long as I'm happy doing it. That's all that matters to me.
What do you remember about the draft, the NFL draft?
Ooh,
different day.
Yeah, sitting in my apartment across the street from the old Skaggs Albertson is where that was married student housing. Mm-hmm. Was married at the time. Had my daughter was there, and I get a call from Atlanta saying that they're going to draft me, and I'm thinking, okay, never been to Atlanta. I don't even know where it is, basically. That was the extent of it. They call, and then once they selected me, they put me on a flight and took me to Atlanta. But it wasn't something it wasn't even something I was looking forward to. If it happened, it happened. If it didn't, I was going to do like everybody else that came to school at A&M, try to finish my degree and move on with life. It wasn't a make or break thing for me.
How was your time in Atlanta?
Difficult at times. I tore ACL my second year in shorts and shoulder pads, and basically struggled after that. Just could not, because during that time they really weren't repairing ACLs. They would go in and clean it up as best they could, and you just basically had to live with it.
It was like a career death sentence at that point, right?
Exactly. I worked out a lot with Fran Tarkenton, who lived in Atlanta. Used to be the quarterback of Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And several other guys that had the surgery. And it was a matter of trying to strengthen the muscles around the knee so that it would compensate for not having that stability inside. Since then, of course, they've gone there, light years since then. I've had both knees replaced, both hips, got a plate in my neck, surgery on my hands. As long as I can get my grip around, you can see this one, it points in every direction. Right. When I say, hey, everybody looks. But it's difficult. I mean, if you play long enough, eventually you have to pay the piper. And people don't realize when you're, 20, 21 years old, that you are as vulnerable as the other guy. Now, I have friends of mine, Carl Roaches, who was my roommate. Carl played with Houston, didn't get drafted the year we came out, but wound up making All-Pro as a kick returner. Carl has never had a surgery, absolutely not one surgery. But I got guys like me and Mark Dennard. Mark went in and had his other knee done the week after I had mine, so we can compare stuff now. So it's a tough sport, and it will. Of course, it was played a little bit different when we played. Pretty much anything goes during that time. The clotheslines, the crackback blocks, all of that stuff was legal. So we didn't have the protection that they have now. Now, I think if you walk out of the tunnel and you get too close to the quarterback, you can get a flag thrown. Yeah. It's totally different now.
And concussions were kind of a badge of honor back in the day.
Rub some dirt on it and go back in there.
Yeah.
It was almost if you didn't get a concussion, or what we never called it a concussion. We called it getting your bell rung or getting dinged. If you hadn't had one, it was almost like you weren't playing hard enough.
Does the NFL now is such a business? It wasn't the way it is now then, but it was still a business. Did you feel the business aspect of it when you got there?
My second or third year, guys would tell me, man, this is actually exactly what you said. It's a business. It's all about this. It happens to be 52 guys that all work for the same company, and everybody is looking for somebody to slip so that someone else can come in. So and until you accept that, the rah-rah win one for the home team, that's just a byproduct of it.
What about this community? So you got here in the early 70s. It was a small town when I came to school here. It doesn't feel that way anymore. You've seen the growth. Just to take me through like what it was like then and to what you see now, this big city now.
Well, it's interesting because Mark and I were talking about that day before yesterday. When I came to school here, I think we had 17,000 students, and you could walk everywhere. I mean, you know, we parked on campus. We had a dorm there, which is still there. The old Henderson Hall building is still there, but and it only housed football players. This was during the time when that was still legal. So we walked pretty much everywhere. The only places to go, that little place down on the front of campus, that we could go in and play pool and listen to a jukebox. That was the extent of it.
Right.
Well, the next year or so, they had a place that opened down the street here, and they opened Sports Club, which was where the old Skaggs Albertson used to be. And those came in, I want to say, maybe our second and third year or so. And then, of course, it was gone after that. But it has changed. I live approximately 4 miles from the stadium here right now. And when I bought that place, you know, it was in the country.
Right.
Now there's 70,000 students here, and when they show up, it takes me 45 minutes to go through one light, seems like.
Right.
It's amazing how big the place has gotten in such I can't say a short period of time, because I came in 72.
Right.
You know, it's been 50 years, man. You know, everything has grown. Even Hearn has grown since then.
Sure, but I feel like the last 20 years, it's been like, it went from, so I'll tell you my perspective of it. I couldn't wait for this to be a bigger city as a kid. Now I miss the small town that it used to be. And you can appreciate having all the restaurants and the stores and all that. There's definitely a convenience factor, but there was a charm to the small town.
Well, I grew up in a small town, and when I go back now, which I don't do very much, you know, I miss that of being able to go places and go from point A to point B without having to reroute and go all the way around, you know, to hit Highway 6 just to get to here.
Right.
You know, so yeah, I missed the small town flavor of it, but you know, with progress comes things like this.
Have you met Jimbo?
No.
No. He's got a big year ahead of him, so hopefully Aggie football gets back on track, my friend.
Hopefully so.
Bubba, I appreciate you coming in. Pleasure to see you. As I mentioned, I know you've moved on to golf. Looks like you can still run the ball, all right?
I'll dislocate a shoulder putting on pads.
You'll probably dislocate our shoulders as you run through us. Thank you so much for making a few minutes.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm going to do a quick break here. We'll come back with the Association of Former Students. But before we do that, the Charge Apparel, that's what I'm wearing right now, one of the shirts from the Charge Apparel, Aggie-owned, purpose-driven apparel brand. They're veteran-owned and operated, and they donate 12% of total sales to organizations that support U.S. veterans and mental health initiatives. As I've mentioned, I'm wearing the shirt right now. It's premier fabrics that are used by the likes of Lululemon and other elite brands. They feature a lightly tailored fit through the chest and the arms, designed to make you look and feel your absolute best. 12% of those total sales, not just profits, are donated to veteran nonprofit partners with a focus on mental health initiatives, an ode to the 12th man without a doubt. And it is a Texas-based company that operates out of Austin, Texas, but they are Aggies through and through. College Station born, one of those guys, and both of them graduated from A&M back in 2014. Check them out online at thechargeapparel.com or find them on Instagram, The Charge Apparel, or Twitter, The Charge Brand. It's The Charge Apparel. It's great. Your hair looks great, Lexi. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Time for Around the Association. Scott Walker in the house. Hello, sir.
Hey, man.
Class of 90 VP in the house. Lexi Hudson, when's the last time you were here?
I think I was pregnant last time I was here. We were talking about that before we started. I really think it was like we were talking about Aggie Park, and I was full-blown pregnant and ready to give birth.
But it was open or not open, Aggie Park?
I think it was.
I don't think it was open yet.
Mm-mm.
Holy, it's been that long?
Yeah, it's been that long.
Congratulations.
Thank you. He's 9 months and full of love. And
I bet. I see all the updates.
Chunkiest little baby I've ever seen.
You guys look very happy. We got some business to get into.
We do.
All right, first off, am I going to be seeing you on game days? I feel like that's our thing. We see each
That
other
is
every
our
couple of
thing.
weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
And hopefully it's a much better season.
Yes,
Much,
absolutely.
much better. Let's talk about the gathering. What's going on? I know we have some pictures to show here.
We do. So you said it's going to be a much better season, right? It's time of optimism. It's the start of a new school year. It is the fish class coming in, and so we always start that year off with what we call the gathering, and we invite all the new fish to come in. I mean, everybody's invited, but it's mostly aimed at the freshmen. And they come over to our place, and we put some food in their bellies and let them try on Aggie rings with their class year on it, and bring some athletes to talk to them. And they're all so energetic because for them, it's not just the start of a new school year; it's a new chapter in their lives, right? I mean, this is their first day, or the night before their first day at Texas A&M as a college student. And it's just so energizing. It's 110 degrees outside, but they're just full of energy and full of life, and it's a great time. It's one of my favorite events, and it really sets up the year because that's the starting gun, right?
Yeah.
Because now we got 2 semesters and then the summer, and it's just back to back to back.
Well, doesn't that kind of go into the legend of the Aggie ring too? Because like my kids ask me, why is our ring more important than? I was like, it just is. Like, once you step on campus, like it's like trying on a Letterman jacket that the varsity guy has. It's the same thing. Like now I'm in the club, but now I'm in the club.
Right. Absolutely. It's a mark of distinction. It identifies you to your fellow Aggies, and not just your fellow Aggies. I mean, other people know what that ring means.
I mean, we've been stopped anywhere, right? Like, hey, is that an Aggie ring? Like. Yeah. And sometimes people say, is that a championship ring? I'm like, yeah, championship of scholar. Lexi, all Aggie hullabaloo coming up as well.
Yes, we are super excited, not only for football season, but of course, all Aggie hullabaloo. It's every home game. Everybody comes to the association. We have pregame, just fun. We've got vendors. This year, we're hoping to add some food trucks, some free alcohol, thanks to Kristen Distributing, which they're a huge, huge support for us. Kendra Scott, Vacanva. We've got DJ Rob, and if you've never heard DJ Rob can spin some tracks.
Penny, the ones and twos.
He hypes up everything that he is at, so we're super excited to have him again this year.
Do you know what that means, the ones and twos? I know that they use that lingo.
Yes.
You know what it means?
No.
I don't know. I know Scott knows. Someone is listening right now, typing the text line right now.
Ones and twos.
It's the first, I think it's the first, I don't know, whatever. Go ahead. Continue on. I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, you're fine. So the first one will be Saturday, September 2nd at 2:30. It is absolutely free. That's one thing that we really push for, is that this is a free event. We just want you to come, hang out. We do ask that you register just so that you can get a wristband to get that free alcohol and those free drinks and the water and whatnot, because it will be hot, so you need to hydrate. But if you want to register, it's tx.ag/all-Aggie-hullabaloo, and we hope to see everybody there.
Yeah, I hope so too. And tailgating, going to be cray-cray this year. Sorry, I'm getting all young on the show today, but always a great time. Aggie Park, popping.
It is. The park is so spectacular, and it has elevated everything in that part of campus, and certainly tailgating not least among them. We've got a new space set aside for tailgate, an additional space set aside for tailgating this year, the Aggie Spirit Lawn. We've got it's a paid tailgating space. There are packages that start as low as a few $100s. We're partnered with Revel XP on this. It's just the best tailgating place on campus. I mean, it's right there by the lake. It's right there by Kyle Field. It's right there by the Alumni Center and the Creamery, the Moore Family Creamery. Spectacular views, all the action. It's going to be a good deal.
Well, you know, one of the things about Aggie Park I'm looking forward to is I do that weekly hit with KBTX. They're going to be doing their pregame show from Aggie Park too. So.
Yes, they'll be right there, right in the action.
Yep. Anything else? You mentioned the Aggie Spirit Lawn. Can people is this something you want to sign up weeks in advance? Can you do it the week of?
Certainly, it's first come, first served, and you have a better selection the earlier you register. But there's 160 spaces. Is that right?
I think 160, maybe a little bit more. But it's 60,000
square feet.
Yeah.
There's room.
There's plenty. There's room.
TX.ag/Aggie Spirit Lawn, and that you can. There's those entry-level packages, but you can also add on food and drinks and TVs and all the extra stuff
Wi-Fi,
if you want.
all the things.
Technology is ridiculous. Like, we'll get into that some other time. Sponsorship times, all right?
Yes.
Vendor opportunities with the association.
Yes, so there are a ton of opportunities that we have, not only for event sponsorships, but partnerships as well. And of course, advertising in Texas Aggie Magazine and Aggie News. We're gearing up for 2024, which I can't believe I'm already saying that we're selling those spots pretty quick. But that's one thing that I love that we do is we include those local vendors and those local businesses, and even Aggie owned and operated other businesses, just welcoming them in with sponsorships. So gathering, we had Visit College Station, Destination Bryan, Berkshire Brothers, CC Creations, just to name a few. And of course, at the other events like All Aggie Hullabaloo, and then the Aggie Ring Day Marketplace was one that we are super excited. We started last year. All the events offer wide variety of options. So presenting sponsor titles to just coming and having a booth there and interacting with these the guests and the friends and family of Texas A&M. Lots of opportunities. And if you are interested to check out the partner program packet, tx.ag/partner program, or you can email us sponsorships@aggienetwork.com for more information.
Scott, one of the things that Randy emailed me copy, 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, about employment opportunities with the association. And the thing that speaks to me about it is I get asked all the time, like, I would love to move back to Aggieland. I'd love to, but I got to find. You guys are hiring in many different areas.
Absolutely. Texas A&M's growing. We're growing. Always trying to do more and find opportunities to have a greater impact on Texas A&M, Texas Aggies. We've got entry-level positions open, and then we've got mid-career stuff open and director-level positions open. IT, accounting, programming, fundraising, communications. It's a great place to work. You're right there on campus. You're in the middle of the action. You get to work all the events that we come on here and talk about, like Aggie Ring Day and Gathering and All Aggie Hullabaloo. Get to partner up with people like TexAgs, right? Yeah. It's a wonderful town to live in, and it's a great place to live, great place to raise kids. And so, yeah, if somebody's looking to come back to Aggieland and start a new chapter of their life, the Association of Former Students is a fantastic opportunity.
Interestingly, I've noticed that it's not just retirement age folks that are moving. And like, we're getting everybody, like 30s, 20s, people aren't leaving. Hello, like we have it in this office quite a bit. So it's a lot of great opportunities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I did roughly 2 decades in my prior career. Marie and I came back in 2007. And that was one of the best things we ever did. How
long were you gone?
I was gone for about 4 years. Okay. I think, 4 years.
Couldn't wait to get back.
I couldn't wait to get back. Once I applied and accepted the position, I was eager and ready. Yeah. Eager and ready. And I never thought I would be, but I would not trade it for the world.
Lexi and Scott, thank you very much for coming in. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
All right, we'll come back with more. It's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. All right, we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's pay the bills with Around College Football, brought to you by Milliken Reserve, a College Station community featuring homes, trails, farms, and wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature. Take part in the Milliken Reserve community with a Conservancy membership. Learn more at millikenreserve.com. We go to the hotline. We're talking to AT, Aaron Torres, Fox Sports Radio, and of course, Aaron Torres online. AT, you send me a text like this. I got to start things off with Bobby Petrino, my friend. You've got some thoughts on the offensive play caller.
Yeah, first of all, I like that when you need to pay the bills, when you need to keep the lights on in that studio, you call Torres. I like that a lot. But so I was thinking about Bobby Petrino the other day. So you sit there, you think about things, whatever. So here's my thought, right? And I know it's a big hot button issue across college football, but my question is this, okay? What if we've been thinking about this whole Bobby Petrino conversation wrong from this perspective of, we've heard the narratives, Jimbo's stubborn, Petrino's stubborn, it's oil and water, it's going to explode, whatever. And my thought, and then the counter to that is, well, Jimbo needs this to work. Okay, that all makes sense. Here's my thought. Doesn't Bobby Petrino need this to work too? Like from the not just from the offense being better perspective, but no disrespect intended. I mean, he doesn't have the greatest reputation in college sports right now with the way that things ended. Forget going back to the Atlanta Falcons and everything, but the second run with Louisville ended in disaster. He's coaching at the FCS level. Then he's so desperate to get back to the FBS level, he takes a play calling job at UNLV. Then he obviously leaves there under slightly bad terms. You hear Barry Odom talk about it. You can tell he's probably not totally happy with how Bobby Petrino left, but you understand why you leave UNLV for Texas A&M. So, like, does Bobby Petrino want his last marquee stop to be, you know, his last stop at Louisville to be a train wreck? You know, not really. There's some bad stuff happening in terms of reputation and stuff like that in his previous stops. And now he's going to crash and burn at A&M because he can't get along with Jimbo Fisher. So I'm not saying that can't happen, but are we looking at this isn't just important for Jimbo Fisher. This is kind of important for Bobby Petrino too. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, it's important, but I think that's probably the plan everywhere he goes, right? Like, and I think he probably wants to be a head coach again, and he needs this to be a launching point.
That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. And listen, let's just say hypothetically, best case scenario, because you know how this industry works, David. We've all been doing it. Is let's say whatever Texas A&M, I forget what they were ranked offensively. Let's say 75th in the country. Maybe it was worse. Whatever. Maybe it was better. Let's say they go from averaging 24 points per game to averaging 38, and they go 10-2, finish second in the SEC West. Whatever. The way this business works, if he is the direct catalyst for their turnaround, and we know how good the defensive personnel is, but if he is the direct catalyst, that all of a sudden makes him a candidate at a lot of places. I mean, what was Steve Sarkisian before Nick Saban got his hands on him? He was a burnout, you know, whatever, didn't work out, high major coach, couldn't get the job done, whatever, blah, 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 this and that. Then 2 years with Saban, all of a sudden we're like, oh, this might be the best play caller in football. And Texas comes calling. Now, should he have gotten the Texas job? Maybe something else. I don't know. Should he have really been Texas's top candidate? I don't know. But the only point I'm trying to make is if it works and if he is the catalyst, then yes, exactly. He immediately becomes a viable head coaching candidate again. Maybe not for the upper tier jobs, but for jobs. And so that's my whole point is like, everyone's just looking at it from like Jimbo needs this to work. And what about the egos? And it's like, no, Bobby Petrino needs this to work too, unless he wants his career to flame out and just never have, you know, a meaningful opportunity again besides being an offensive coordinator.
Doug and Aaron Torres here on TexAgs Radio. Aaron, I only have watched a few minutes of the Florida Untold, okay? I watched the Jake Paul. I watched, obviously, Johnny Manziel.
Ooh, me too.
I've enjoyed the Untolds. I always do. This year especially. What's been your take? Have you enjoyed it? I think you already watched the complete Florida part, right?
I know. I'm about an episode and a half in, and it is interesting, right? Because you hear the people that watched it. By the way, I did watch the Manziel one, which I really liked. Sidetrack, by the way. Can we stop with the Manziel story and the Florida story? They don't tell the real story. It's like, I watched that Johnny Manziel documentary. I'm pretty sure he told every story there was to tell, and, you know, he told his version of events, whatever. But he didn't duck anything about his past or about his career or whatever. The Florida one is a little bit different. And so what I will say is I'm about an episode and a half in, and I am really enjoying it knowing that it isn't going to be the full story. And the full story is obviously there was a lot of off-the-field stuff. And, you know, my understanding is Aaron Hernandez is loosely referenced one time, and that's it. And, like, so seeing all of those kind of negative reviews, if you will, it made me feel not hesitant to jump in. But once I jumped in, I do enjoy the actual football perspective, the behind-the-scenes stuff. They have great kind of, you know, workout video. You know, the perspective, I don't think I realized how bad it got for Urban Meyer in year one and how desperately he needed to turn it around in year two. I don't think I remember the presence that Steve Spurrier cast over the program. So I just bring it up to say I'm about probably 40% of the way through, and my take so far is for the people who are frustrated that it didn't tell the whole story, I totally agree. But if you just want a little on-the-field football nostalgia with some cool behind-the-scenes video, so far that has been good. It's been delivered. It has delivered. It's been a fun watch.
AT, are they going to do an Untold on Jim Harbaugh's era there at Michigan, where he walks off with a national championship on the same season he gets suspended for 3 games that doesn't really affect anything?
Well, I don't think it's going to affect anything. And I will say this too: is I know I said I was thinking about Bobby Petrino the other day, but I'll also say I think more than any other school, any other program in college football this specific season, Michigan is built to just this not affect them at all. And let me explain why. One, it's one of the most veteran teams in the sport. But two, you know, David, and this is where sometimes we all give opinions and sometimes we get stuff dead wrong. I was the guy going into last offseason. Remember, David, 2 off seasons in a row, Harbaugh has openly flirted with the NFL, openly taken interviews. Remember, in February of 2022, he flew to Minnesota on National Signing Day to interview with the Minnesota Vikings. And so I go back to this time last year and I said, I mean, how does he regain the trust of the locker room, and how are those guys going to handle everything that he pulled in the offseason? And then they go 12-0, win the Big Ten, play in the playoff again. And so this group seems to me to be uniquely built to just kind of push this stuff to the side. And then it obviously goes without saying the schedule is very advantageous. The 3 games, I believe, I've talked about it so much, I believe the 3 games are East Carolina, UNLV, and Bowling Green. Not exactly a who's who of teams that are expected to knock off Michigan. So I don't know if we get the full 30 for 30 untold treatment 10 years from now, but I do think this. I don't think that suspension will have much of an impact on this specific Michigan team at all.
Talking to Aaron Torres here, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. All right, AT. I'm going to have a take that's going to sound hypocritical, okay?
Okay, let's do it.
I don't know if Florida State's going to be the team that everybody thinks that they're going to be. And the reason I say that, I look at their schedule, it is super simple, except for the month of September. And if they get hit in the face by an SEC team to start things off, they start off 0-1. A couple of weeks later, they take on Clemson, and I think Clemson's going to be way improved this year. There's a chance they have 2 losses entering October.
So let me take it a step further, David, because this is something I haven't heard anybody talk about. The ACC this year is taking a page out of last year's Pac-12 playbook and soon all of college football's playbook, and the 2 highest-ranked teams will play for the ACC title, or the 2 teams with the best record, however they determine it. So it's no longer whatever it is, Coastal and Atlantic or whatever the division names are called. So I guess my concern with Florida State is you probably realistically have to go 2-1 against Clemson with 2 neutral site games and 1 true road game at Clemson in late September. That's where my concern is, and I'm with you that I will say, you know, first of all, you and I are aligning quite a bit on our college football playoff stances and opinions. And that is the one that I am as torn on as anything, which is who do I like coming out of the ACC? Because I do think Florida State personnel is vastly improved, you know, over the course of 2-3 years, not just from last year. And I think it's going to be a great game on Labor Day Sunday with LSU. I also think that the schedule lines up much tougher for them, where you look at Clemson, their toughest games, Florida State's at home, Notre Dame is at home. You know, they play at Miami, but what is Miami? I mean, you guys probably know Miami a little bit better than most because you play them in week 2. But, I mean, you look at Clemson's schedule, most of their big games are at home. And so I'm with you, and that's one that I am genuinely torn on, is I think I like Florida State a little bit better. But we know college football, man, so much of this sport is who do you play, what time of year do you play them, where do you play them. That doesn't line up well for Florida State.
Talking to AT here, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. All right, let's kind of go through, because I know you talked a little bit about on your podcast. Give me some of the most overrated teams. Give me 2 or 3 of the most overrated teams heading into the season.
Okay, so I've already done my Texas spiel on this show. I know I have at least once, maybe twice. Sark's never won more than 8 games. Quinn Ewers completed 56% of his passes. I'm sorry, you know, whatever. Like, prove it to me, and if I'm wrong, I'll eat crow and whatever, and we'll move on and whatever. That's one. The other one, and it falls very much under the same umbrella of what I just said with Florida State, I think it's not out of the realm of possibility that Ohio State goes 9-3 this year. And let me explain why. One, I was talking to somebody over there yesterday. They are very much in the Alabama. They don't know who their quarterback is. Like they can say, oh, Devin Brown has a lead, or, you know, this report says Devin Brown has a lead. I was told the opposite. I was told Kyle McCord's trending in the right way and Devin Brown's trending in the wrong way. Whatever. The point I'm trying to make is let's just talk this through, David. And by the way, if I go long, cut me off because I know you got commercial breaks and all that. So week 4, and I know they'll have a couple test games. They play at Notre Dame. Notre Dame has a 6th-year quarterback who has thrown 75 touchdowns over the last 2 years at Wake Forest, okay? So even with Ryan Day's greatness, even with the wide receivers, you're probably at a quarterback disadvantage against Notre Dame. How about this? Week, whatever. You go to Wisconsin, Halloween weekend, night game. It's already been announced, NBC night game. You have to play at Wisconsin. Luke Fickell's the head coach. Tanner Mordecai, 6-year senior, as a quarterback, over 75 touchdown passes in the last 2 seasons at SMU. Those 2 pretty tough games. Penn State, how about this? Penn State is at home for Ohio State. Penn State's 2 weeks prior to Ohio State. Bye week, UMass at home. So essentially, Penn State has 2 bye weeks to get ready for Ohio State, and then, of course, Michigan to close the year. So you're talking about 2 6th-year quarterbacks, Michigan on the road, and Penn State with 3 weeks to prepare. Even if Ryan Day is the greatest coach that's ever walked the earth, that is a tough go of it. And as I said, David, I think college football so much is who do you play, when do you play them, all that good stuff. And I think the disadvantages this year are in Ohio State's direction.
All right, last one. Let's do most underrated.
That was a pretty strong argument, right? That was a pretty strong argument, wasn't it?
You brought the heat, bro. But I expect that from you. It's like my kids expect me to take them to school.
No, I just kind of had sort of dismissed Notre Dame for most of the offseason, and then I kind of really looked at things this week with Ohio State. I was like, you know, it almost reminds me of Bama, right? It's like last year Bama, it was like they play at Tennessee, which we knew was going to be better, at LSU, which we knew was going to be better under Brian Kelly, at Texas. And you sit there and say, well, you know, it's Nick Saban, he'll figure it out. But it's like, even what if they don't figure it out? And that's kind of my thing with Ohio State. Like, what if they just don't figure it out because they're playing great quarterbacks, great coaches in tough venues? So I don't mean to pat myself on the back, but I thought that was a pretty strong, well-thought-out opinion.
I think it was a very good opinion. So give us the opinions on the underrated ones.
Let's see. So, first of all, I think Oklahoma is very interesting. So I'll just try to be brief on this. One, you guys know I like A&M. It's not because I'm on with you guys, but I think they're in for a nice bounce-back year for all the reasons we've talked about literally since January and February. Oklahoma, how about this, David? You know, the A&M stat, all these close losses. So Oklahoma had 7 losses last year, total disaster. How about this? 2 blowout losses. Dylan Gabriel did not play in those games, or he got hurt and left early. Other than that, 1 touchdown loss, 1 loss by 7, 4 losses by a field goal. And that was with one of the worst defenses in the Big 12. Now, that's to blame Brent Venables. You're supposed to be the defensive genius, whatever. My point is, Dylan Gabriel is back. And if you are literally, much like Texas A&M, a play or 2 better, you know, if you're 5 plays better over the course of the season, you're now talking about, instead of 6 and 7, you're talking about potentially 9 and 4. And so I just think, you know, I'm very big, and I'm not a big analytics guy, but I am big into close losses generally turn into wins the next year. And by the way, close wins generally turn into losses the following year as well. So that's one of the reasons I'm probably a little bit higher on Oklahoma than most.
And A&M, to close it out, you said you're high on them, but are you okay with their current ranking? What was it, 23rd in the AP, and the direction they should be able to go by, I don't know, November or so?
Well, listen, I mean, one, we all know polls are dumb, and that's fine, but they give us something to talk about. And tell me if you disagree with this. I don't want to speak for Aggie Nation because I'm not the person to do it. I'm guessing you guys probably like being a little bit under the radar rather than being ranked in the top 10 based on a group of 18-year-old freshmen, coming in. So I think you're in a very advantageous position. Now you got to go to Miami in week 2 and show us some things. Miami's coming off a bad year as well. I don't know what the crowd is going to be like there. By the way, you get to go visit your family. That's cool. I didn't even think about that. But I guess what I'm trying to say is it's time to show it, right? I do like them. I think most Aggie fans, I would guess, are happy that the hype train isn't going off the tracks. But now it's time to show it, and you get a chance early. It's probably going to be a national TV game, I assume, with Miami. That's one of the games I'm really excited about early in the year, by the way.
That is Aaron Torres, Around College Football, brought to you by Milliken Reserve. AT, thanks so much, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Man, I don't know if I had extra coffee today or what. I felt like that was a really solid segment by me. I'm ready for football. All right, man. We'll talk next week.
Buddy,
Thank you.
You were fantastic, man. But again,
that was great.
It's like, like I expected from you. You're AT.
No, I know. Well, listen, sometimes, it's like the coaches grade the film on Sundays. It's like sometimes I grade the film on TexAgs, and I'm not happy with my performance. Today, it's like I'm going to go back and watch the film, and that's going to be like an A+ across the board. I'm eating steak for dinner tonight. No mac and cheese and hot dogs as a punishment for my disappointing effort. So felt really good about that one today, James. Felt really good.
All right, well, we'll talk to you soon, brother. Take care.
Thank you.
Later. Aaron Torres. Aaron Torres online. All right, we got to do this. Hit a break. Caller number 1, we're going to give you a free car wash right now from Aggie Land Express Car Wash in South College Station off of William D. Fitch in Greens Prairie. They are Aggie owned and operated with the friendliest staff and a personal touch. They offer a monthly membership. We'll give the first caller a free car wash right now from Aggie Land Express in South College Station. 979-693-1150. And we are back. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to Luke Evangelist at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Mr. Luke, you've got text messages all about Anaya Smith.
Yep. Our number 2 in 23 and 23, Keith in Prosper says our 2022 record with Anaya Smith starting was 3-1. Without him, 2-6 with 6 straight losses. And I'll actually take it a step further. I did some research. Since 2020, we're 20-6 with Anaya Smith in the lineup.
That's really good.
Yep.
Look, he makes a huge difference. I think last year there were issues. Yeah, he could have easily gotten them another win, potentially 2, right? Because those games, the margins were so thin in those games, right? I mean, we can go back to Ole Miss. Could Connor have used him, even though he had a pretty flawless first game as a starter? Could have used him there. Obviously, there were other games that if Anias would have been out there, could have made a huge difference. But the team did have its issues. And I think Billy said this on the Luchador. In a way, things happen the way they did to spark change, and we have that change this year with Anias. So watch out. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, Damontre Moore, he hasn't been on this show in a minute, not since I've been here. We'll get him on. Amy Raines from the Bush Library and the Fan Show. All that and more next on TexAgs Radio. All right, TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Working on getting Damontre Moore on the show. Hopefully get him here in the next few minutes. In the meantime, we'll read a couple of these text messages that came in. And let's see, a couple different things out here. Somebody asked about where you can get our podcasts. You can get our podcasts at Spotify, Apple Music, several other places. So you got that as an option as well. TexAgs.com. All the shows are archived on there. You can watch the shows if you become a premium subscriber. Obviously, The Zone's got some podcasts as well. So those are some of the ways that we have. Let's go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center, where a winded Luke Evangelist is joining us. Luke.
Cutting it close there, David.
Well, I mean, I've noticed this new trend. It's like the moment I got a guest, people were getting out of the studio. They don't want to be a part of the conversation.
I got other things to do. I'm working on a comprehensive list for Richard, and his deadlines are strict. I can't not meet that. So I've been working on that. My earbuds are all tangled up. I'm just gonna. Let
me ask you this: Is Richard giving you a deadline during the show that you're working on?
No.
Oh,
I just want to get it done.
Okay. Well, that's great. That's a great attitude to have. Well, yeah. Let's get to a couple text messages.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let's see here. I'm just gonna pick my favorite one.
I saw you kind of go over the one, so I'll read it. Jim and Temple, because you don't even know who this guy is, right?
I'm not very well versed in wrestling. I'm gonna let that be you.
Unfortunately, wrestling legend, this is from Jim and Temple, wrestling legend Terry Funk dead at the age of 79. One of the legends out there was just like a man's man. I forget the quote I read yesterday. He said, "You may think that wrestling is fake, but I want you to believe in Terry Funk." Something to that effect. Like, I want you to believe that this is really me. And he did live that persona everywhere he went. And I'm pretty sure... I mentioned to you that I saw the movie Roadhouse with my kids until there was too many butt scenes. But I watched that movie recently, and Terry Funk is one of the guys in the movie, like one of the goons. So thoughts and prayers to his family. He was a legend out there. What else we got?
Yeah, we've got a lot of people talking about how much they really enjoyed your last conversation with Bubba. I also enjoyed it as well. If you want to talk a little bit more about what your experience has been like with him, just chatting it up with him.
It was nice. You know what I really enjoyed about it more than anything was, by the way, Nick, they're texting me. He's trying to log in, so it's hard for me to talk and type at the same time. It's, one of those things. Chew gum and drive. Easy, though. One of the things that was very apparent from before he came on, just, just what I've read about him, text messages back and forth, he's very proud of his football career. But that's just a part of who he is, all right? And he doesn't hide from the fact that he was a legend and he was a great player. But that was a chapter in his life, and his life has got many, many chapters. And I thought that was cool. And he's found different ways to feel fulfilled, and he's very competitive still. All right, let's go to our next guest. So this guy was a beast on the field at A&M. I mean, just so much fun to watch him as a pass rusher. And now I feel like this guy has taken over social media because every time I see USA Today, I see TV shows, Damontre Moore is everywhere. Somehow we got him on TexAgs Radio. Damontre, good morning, man. Oh, your mic is off. Oh, hold on. 3.
No.
There we are.
We good?
Yeah, we're good.
Ah, man. Hey, let's go. Let's come together like a good A&M game, baby. Thanks for having me. Thanks again. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties, but we here, baby.
All good, man. I'm so happy to get you on the show. Rumor has it we may be getting you on a little bit more often, so I'm happy to break down some Aggie football with you. All right, so first thing, let's talk about it. Everybody's got these expectations. Some former players, not as high. Some are really high. Where are you with Texas A&M?
Ah, man, sorry. I had to pull out my notes because I'm a diehard Aggie, but I got it all right here. So 10 games, baby. I'm expecting it's 10 games or bust for us. We had a lot of high expectations. We're bringing in tremendous talent. We upgraded with great amenities as far as the facility and just doing everything. I think the time is now. And then bringing in Petrino, letting him and Jimbo combine together, the great, amazing players that we have with this young, talented defense that we front. I expect 10 games. And if that's 10 games during the regular season, not including playoffs, or if that's 9 games and then 1 playoff win, but it's 10 games or bust.
10 games or bust. That you're speaking to me. I feel like, Damontre, when Jimbo signed on, that's kind of been the expectations, right? Like, this is going to be a team that's a perennial 10-win team, and I'm really hoping that last year was just a little blip in the radar. I know 8-4 happened the year prior, but for the most part, Jimbo has been ascending, and then we saw 2020 how good that was.
Yes, Jimbo has had that wine method. He's gotten better over time, but he hasn't gotten better fast enough for a lot of us former players and older guys. But talking to him, talking to the other guys around the locker room and stuff, you can feel that energy. And the one thing that it brings me back to my time when I was there at A&M was with Coach Sherman. Mike Sherman never got the credit that he did because he built a solid foundation, and then gradually it got to that point. I see Jimbo doing those same things, building a good core and trying to keep the core together and just constantly ascending. So give him a little bit of time, but just like everybody, we know how our Aggies are. We put a lot of pressure on people. We need that to be done now. So the time is now, man.
All right, so I know you watched film. Why do you think A&M struggled to get a pass rush last year?
So I think, honestly, with the struggle of pass rush, it came between one, experience is the best teacher. We had a lot of young people that were playing. We had a lot of guys that were shooting the gaps. And I think that comes with the inexperience. You had linebackers and D linemen all in the same gap and not really holding those integrity. And at the end of the day, somebody has to step up schematically wise and then just say, hey, man, put somebody right there and have your general. And I think that comes with time and development. And this offseason, from the things that I've been reading, watching spring ball, I think a lot of these guys have gotten in their books and they're going to be more technically sound. And so only time will tell. Plus, we have a lot of guys coming back from injuries as well. That was a key thing for us that was hindering us. So I'm excited to see if we lock in and the injury bug, knock on wood, doesn't affect us. I have really high expectations for this defense.
Damontre, I'm going to press pause on this interview for a quick moment because something caught my attention in the background. These Zooms are great because I can see things. Is that Iron Man I see over your left shoulder?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, that's my dog. It can transform into 3 different things: the Iron Man face, the War Iron Man, and the other one.
I love it. I'm a superhero nerd, and sometimes people remind me how much of a nerd I am.
If you're a superhero nerd, hold on.
Oh, here we go.
Show you this one real quick. Big anime guy. My guy Ozzy the Virus, he does this.
Oh, nice.
Got Aang in there mixed with the Rock Lee from Naruto. So we got him. I got some Dragon Ball Z stuff over here. So yeah, this is my whole A little man cave between sports and anime.
Let's get into I want to ask you something that is along the same lines of the issues getting to the quarterback, because there were several issues on defense last year. They didn't give up a lot of points, but teams could rush on them. Is it the same thing? Is it the gap integrity? Is it the fact that they weren't filling the holes the right way? What is it, the linebacker play? What did you see overall?
As far as our offensive line play or opposing offensive line?
Defense not stopping the run.
So with our defense not stopping the run, the biggest thing is I think it alludes to the pass rusher thing, just the gap integrity, and then also having the inexperience and then injuries. When we got the big D lineman back, his name is escaping me right now. He was basically able to eat up.
You're talking about McKinley Jackson, who came in late in the season after being hurt for a little bit?
There we go. Mountain Jackson. That's my nickname for him. I got it right here in my notes. But when we got Mountain Jackson back, like, our run defense was phenomenal. He's eating up at least 2 or 3 guys. And so to play this 3-4 scheme that we're playing, we're going to have big mountain killers just like him. We're going to have those guys coming in. And when he comes back alone, he's going to take up 2 or 3 blockers. That's going to allow our linebacker core to be able to shoot the gap scot-free. Those days, especially when I was there and we had a top 5 defense, we had Sean Porter, Jonathan Stewart, even Michael Hodges as a freshman. The reason that they were so exceptionally well at shooting those gaps were because you had guys like Spencer Neely, Alonzo Williams, Eddie Brown, who was a big, massive mountain himself, taking up those blockers and causing them to come downhill scot-free. And I think that's going to translate over to this year and correlate when we get Mount Jackson back. And then on top of that, some of the young guys that we have.
Damontre, let's make this a little bit about you for a minute, because I remember your freshman year. You had 5 sacks, right? I mean, this team could have absolutely used that. Then you jumped to 8.5. Then it jumped to 12.5. So take me through that journey. Your freshman year, you're thrown into the fire. You're very successful, but then there's a growth from year 1 to year 2, and obviously to year 3. And how different did it feel after that first year?
So for me, after that first year, it's like I said, the wine technique. You get better with time. Experience is the best teacher. I've heard that multiple times from Lil Wayne over and over again. And for me, I had a phenomenal experience dealing with Sean Porter, who was there to mentor me. Having the competition breeds the best factor in a player is what I firmly believe. So I had Von Miller, Sean Porter, those guys that I was aspiring to be like, and had the aspiration of trying to go be a potential first round pick like those guys and just put my team in the best situation. And when you come in as a freshman, you're like, hey, how can I make as many plays as I can? Well, I benefited significantly sharing rooms with Von Miller the day before the game my freshman year, the same eating routine, the way that we broke down film and he would talk to me. It was like, okay, you had this success. Now, what are you going to do after that? How are you going to grow? And then once he left, Sean Porter was able to take the helms, and but being the phenomenal pass rusher that he is, he said, hey, Damontre, I need you to be that guy because I'm going to go be the middle linebacker. And so that made me get in there, study film a little bit harder, work out a little bit harder, and have that cohesiveness to where by the time we got to the season, everything was gelling like glue. I knew exactly instinctively what my guy was going to do. I had a guy like Spencer Neely that was there to say, hey, Damontre, you do this exceptionally well. Let me play off of you. And so that's just called bonding and just getting together. And that's why I'm so excited with guys like Shamar Turner, Mount Jackson, and all the other deep talent that we have right now. These guys were so young. Yes, we had a little lack thereof, but there was so much hidden production on that film that we didn't account for, that now with time, coaching and experience and them just gelling, I think they're going to make that same jump.
Talking to Damontre Moore here on TexAgs Radio. So earlier we alluded to the offensive line issues. So if that is cleaned up, and we hope experience will do that, what do you expect from this offense?
So it's kind of hard because I don't want to be too harsh on my Aggies, but I expect a lot. I look at this as the potential O-line. A lot of these guys on paper, they're like the monsters we're reading between their physical attributes, them being top-ranking recruits coming in. all that looks good, but I want to see how they gel. And the thing that leaves me so hopeful about it is when we did get everybody back from the injuries last year and we actually was mixing and matching with the offensive line, towards the end of the season, they started to come together and you could see that cohesiveness. And once again, I hate to bring it up, but all these guys, a lot of these guys were inexperienced and didn't have time. We were playing musical chairs throughout the season. So I think between them having a full off season together, just working on that injury and just getting more sound in their technique, I think they're going to make a tremendous stride, like not even a stride. It's not going to be a stride. It's going to be a full on sprint. Like it's going to be day and night, the way that these guys are able to do what they can do. If they live up to their potential, I look at us having a top 5 offense this year. We have the weapons. We have the talent at QB. Now that's another topic within itself. We have somebody that has a lot of potential and could potentially be, the next best thing since sliced bread. And then we also have another guy that's extremely talented, but he wins us games. I look at him as more of a Joe Flacco. He's a great game manager and he's a safe bet. But between us having the talent at quarterback, having the safe bet, and having the weapons, the only thing that I feel that is left is the offense and the game management style.
Yep, talking to Damontre Moore, love that. Let's talk about the documentary, the Johnny documentary. Did you get a chance to check it out? Your former teammate of his, what'd you think of it? What do you think about Johnny since then and the whole story?
So for me, documentary is great. It's great as far as bringing money into people's hands and stuff like that. But personally, I do not like the documentary. It didn't show the Johnny football that I knew and that I love. My brother and my teammate, they showed all these different lights, but they didn't show the school that we fell in love with, the A&M feeling, the reason that he chose us all over the other schools that were recruiting him. Johnny was one of the best guys. You hear stories about quarterbacks only talking to their offensive weapons or staying in and then they leave and they're married and they leave out to the locker room. Well, Johnny was that guy that would be in there with us, just simply joking around with the D linemen and stuff after meetings and stuff like that. And it didn't matter. He was never too big. And when it was those moments of where mobs would chase him out of class and he had to be escorted from the classroom to the locker room, we never got to feel that. Johnny was there with us till the last man was in the locker room cracking jokes. And so I think personally that they did a disservice and they didn't show everything that was Johnny as a whole. I think we got to see different layers of him, and I look at Johnny as an onion. Onions have so many layers, but they're essential to what we need. An onion can be somebody's worst best thing and make them cry, but an onion can also add so much different flavor, texture. It's the essential foundation for something that can be great. You get the onion, slice it up the right way and season it and put it in the dish, it's going to be great. And with Johnny was the same thing. We got to see him as a true freshman, redshirted, like go against the defense and shredding us apart. Guys like me, Von Miller, Michael Hodges, Sean Porter, DeShazer Everett, like all those guys, him and Mike Evans, it was like poetry in motion. And so to see them as a redshirt freshman go out there and do what they did, not just from the football standpoint, but I mean from the standpoint of being a brother, just talking to us. And even when he was up for the Heisman, hey, I want to have these guys with me. He's always giving credit to not only his teammates, his coaches, but even his learning assistant in Ms. Lee. And so for me, I wish that the documentary would have showed him more in a positive light and showed him overall as the whole and not just these negative aspects.
Damontre, I want to follow that up because there's one part of the documentary, I brought it up here on the show before, that really caught my attention. It's when Johnny's at the Hall of Fame or they're inducting him, and Mike's looking at him, and there's this look of love, right? And I feel like that's, I agree with you. If there's something that more that I wanted to see it go a little bit longer, but if there's something I would have liked to investigate, because they spent a little time on the kind of teammate he was in Cleveland, but not the kind of teammate he was at A&M and why these guys do call him a brother.
Exactly. And that's where I thought they did such a disservice. The promotion and everything leading up to this was Johnny football, the documenting Johnny and talking about A&M. There was only a small portion about him and his journey getting to A&M. It was about leading up to it. They showed a little bit A&M, but then we talk about Cleveland. To really take the bad, we got to take the good as well. And that's the one thing that I didn't think that they showed. We're all human. It's basic human nature. We all have faults and we all make mistakes. But as much as we're going to show the mistakes, look, why not show him in a good light and show the things that led to that. And that's where I get upset, because I am a fighting Texas Aggie. I bleed maroon. And I thought they did a disservice to our university. They didn't talk about the countless training sessions and him being a brother, or even something. I personally know him and his sister and the dynamics that they have, that they're close. And for me to clearly, he just posted on Instagram a week before the documentary got released about him and his sister going and taking his niece to Disney World and having a great relationship and building that point. So everybody loves a comeback story, supposedly, in the media. Let's show this man comeback story. Like, let's not only talk about that, let's talk about him, what he's doing here and now in the positive light, because that love, we seen that small love and admiration. If it's from Mike Evans looking at him in the ceremony for his Hall of Fame induction, or if it's from me, Luke Joker, and Jake Matthews smiling, swaying side to side as they introduce him onto the stage, and you see that type of happiness. That's what I wanted to see in the documentary. And so that's what it was. It was the wool. They pulled the wool over our eyes. So it is what it is.
Damontre, I want to close out with just the direction of college football. There's several things you can take this. You can, NIL, Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC, the transfer portal. Just, do you like the direction college football is going?
Yes. I'm going to take one of my famous quotes that I always use, and it's so fitting for this moment, but it is a double-headed sword. I love where the development in college is going right now. As far as NIL deal, people getting paid off of their likeness. I know for me, leaving school early, that was one of the toughest decisions I made. But the biggest reason I left is because of the financial obligations that I had towards my family, or at least the aspirations I had of providing a better lifestyle for my family. If I was financially taken care of or had the NIL deal, 100% sure, without a doubt, I would have stayed another year, so I could have had that Von Miller experience and just being engulfed, because you love the culture so much. So to get back to your point, as far as I love people getting paid, but also with the transfer portal, it's double-headed sword. It's the best attributes, and also it can be very dangerous. I don't like the fact that you being able to transfer, it gives you a way out. The one thing about football, and the thing that I admire the most about the game, is the competition factor. I believe competition is going to bring you to your highest and make you into your best self, or best version of yourself. And a lot of these guys are missing that factor. The one thing that happens in this game, a lot of people don't know, and with A&M in particular, we don't know how to handle adversity when it comes into those final moments. And I got a crazy story that I could think of. Larry Jackson, who's the strength coach at the Cleveland Browns right now, he was our strength coach, and I'll never forget when Coach Sumlin brought him in. We had all these strenuous workouts during the offseason, and we were training, and he was saying, hey, guys, we might not be the most talented and this and that, but we're going to be the best condition, and we're going to have the most grit. And we built that grit in the offseason. And he told us, he said, hey, when we play Alabama this year, guys, like, it's going to come a time. We're going to come out there and we're going to shock the world, and we're going to be out there and we're going to be on their butts. And once we get on their butts, Bama going to do what Bama's going to do, and they're going to fight back. And when they fight back, we got to be ready and be conditioned to go through there. And that adversity and that hardship that we fought through to get to that moment, that made us better prepared, and we were ready for the situation that came afoot. And I felt like, I tell you that story to say that a lot of these guys with the transfer portal, they don't know how to fight against adversity. Like, yes, there are certain situations where a true freshman comes in, like Johnny Manziel, and he does his thing, and you have a talented quarterback like Jamil Showers that get lost in the shuffle and have to transfer to UTEP and have a good career. I think it's good for that. But then also in that same regard, we have the transfer portal, and people, just because the coach didn't like them, or because they simply lost out in a competition, and then you lose. A lot of our transfers that we've had are no longer on the team. And so that's why I don't really like the transfer portal, because I believe it gives too many people too many options and too many ways out versus fighting through that.
Damontre, great stuff, man. Looking forward to having you here on the show again. We're up against a break. Thank you so much for making some time.
Thanks, and giggle.
Giggle, man. All right, good stuff there with Damontre Moore. We'll come back with Amy Raines about the Bush Library. Some cool stuff going on there. Right now, time to talk Cap Rock, highly personalized emergency care. Did you know that their patients, I know you know because you listen to the show all the time, benefit from a very unique one-on-one experience? And should your stay at Cap Rock be a little bit longer than you're expecting or that you want, They're going to manage every element of your visit, and they're going to make sure that you're feeling better immediately. They have a very low patient-to-doctor-nurse ratio, which means their medical team gets to know you and your individual needs, and they got hotel-quality rooms, so you never have to think about sleeping in a bad environment, right? Those rooms are going to make you feel like you're at a hotel because they want you to feel better as soon as you walk in. That is their sole purpose. 100% locally owned and operated in the Brazos Valley, putting the patient first in every decision that they make. You got 2 state-of-the-art facilities designed for patient healing and family friendliness. You got Caprock Hospital in Bryan and Caprock 24-hour Emergency Center in College Station. Both have 0 wait time for emergency care, so you'll never have to sit in a crowded waiting room. It is Caprock Hospital in Bryan and Caprock 24-hour Emergency Center in College Station. All right, we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. All right, Aggie football. That's our thing, right? That's what we talk about here on the show. So you're going to love our next guest. The spirit that can never be told, a century of Aggie football exhibit, will be live on Monday at the Bush Library. Let's talk to the marketing director right here, Amy Raines. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you. So you were telling, it's been a year. It's been a year that you've been there now.
Yes.
A little bit over a year.
Yeah.
It's been fun?
It's been busy.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this exhibit. I know that they're still doing the final touches on the install, but what kind of things can we expect?
Well, there's Aggie traditions, notable players and coaches, and really takes you through the history from the beginning in the 1890s through the different eras and coaches until today, the Jimbo Fisher era. So.
And I know President Bush's huge love for Aggie football. You all get into a little bit of that as well.
Yeah, of course we had to connect it to President Bush at the Bush Library and how he loved Aggie land and the traditions here. You know, he always said it was the spirit of the place that really made him choose this area and this community for his library and museum. And so we tend to tie those traditions back into the Bush legacy. So, yeah.
How much planning has to be? I mean, I feel like this is a huge undertaking.
Years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was actually a homegrown exhibit. So our own team designed and developed this exhibit, and then we did have to contract out some of the fabrication, but they did the research. They built the exhibit, so it's taken years. So we're very excited for it to finally be here, installed, and open on Monday.
And we'll have photos, we'll have documents, we'll have actually an audio portion of it as well, and a video portion.
Yeah,
as well.
there's some video clips, all kinds of different things. We've got some Aggie memorabilia. Even on the preview wall right now, there's a helmet and a jersey that Johnny Manziel signed and gave to President Bush.
Oh, right.
So there's all kinds of different things from the different eras over the years. Yeah.
And you all celebrate not only the accomplishments on the field, but the traditions and the values of Texas A&M through athletics.
Yes, absolutely. Yell leaders, yell practice, reveille, the 12th man. All of those are very important traditions that set us apart from a lot of other places. And
I know players beyond Johnny are going to be focused in on it as well.
Oh, definitely, yes. Everything from the beginning, E. King Gill and the 12th man, and lots of players and coaches over the years.
Sounds like to me, if you listen to the show, it's kind of like a have to. Like you have to, especially
you have to come see it, of course.
Yeah. So it starts Monday, and how long will it last?
It'll be here until April 28th, 2024.
So
it'll be here for a while, but time gets away from you.
Yeah.
So you've got to come see it now.
And then what are the hours of operation for people to come?
Yes, so Monday through Saturday, 9:30 to 5.
No, you do it. Let's keep it military. Let's do it.
Yeah, 9:30 to 1700, and then on Sunday we're open noon to 5.
Do you think that way still?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. My phone is still on military time. Yes.
Was that initial when you first started military time? Was that an initial transition, or have you always kind of thought that way?
A little bit.
Yeah.
It was very easy to calculate. I was in the Corps. I went to A&M, and we were on military time in the Corps. So long ago, I don't remember having military. This is what I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's another exhibit going on through January 3rd. It's Honor, Courage, Commitment, Marine Corps Art, 1975 through 2018. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so we have 15 different artists with 36 different pieces of art, and it just sort of gives you a glimpse of their combat experience through their artworks. And that's in the Fidelity Gallery until January 3rd. So another emphasis, you kind of get a twofer, threefer really, the permanent collection, the Aggie football exhibit, and then the Marine Corps art exhibit right now. So yes, you know, as a retired Marine, I wasn't sure what to expect with, you know, you don't expect Marines to be artists. But it's very well done. It's very interesting, and it's very interesting to see their different perspectives over the different time periods, you know, because it starts from shortly after the Vietnam War until fairly recent, 2018. So get a number of different perspectives.
So we got 3 great things to check out, and I know you probably can't tell us much, but I know you're probably already in the planning stages for the future.
Well, you know, next year would have been President Bush's 100th birthday. So there are huge plans in the works. The building that everybody sees when you drive up to the library and museum and the complex, that'll be opening. Targeted date is June. Mm-hmm. So we're planning a big 41 at 100 celebration. It'll be a 3-day celebration, a big one in June. And then some other activities we're going to have. The next exhibit is going to focus on President Bush at 100. Yeah. So the spirit of the place.
Well, a lot to do there. A spirit can never be told. A century of Aggie football starts on Monday, and it runs through April 28th. But obviously, with football weekends coming up, go there early Saturday morning and go check it out.
Absolutely, yes. That's we tied that in with the first football game for a reason. Just opened just before football game.
Well played.
First football game, yeah. So,
Amy, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I
Thanks
appreciate
for having
you.
us.
Yeah, go check it out there. It opens on Monday morning. All right, we'll come back with the fan show next on TexAgs Radio. All right, it's TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Fan Show.
Fan Show.
Fan Show. Fan Show.
Never
presented by Girard Construction, custom home builders for the Brazos Valley since 2002. They don't just build homes, they build relationships. Learn more at girard-construction.com. Oh, is that right? Yeah. I did not know that.
Big day.
So, big day for several reasons.
We're changing some things. I like it.
We're throwing the old curveball, buddy.
I like it, though. I think this is going to be a big thing for the show.
I don't know. There's still people complaining about Gabe not being here, but change is sometimes okay because Matthew Dawson is in here, and the reason we usually have like 70-year-olds. Like, you guys are old, right? We need some young blood.
We are old, yes.
I'll be the first to say that I'm old.
Yeah.
I'm good.
And I'm older than all you guys. So we're changing it up a little bit. I think once a month we're going to bring in some college kids, like a Jeopardy version. They do that, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So Matthew Dawson's with us. What's up, man?
Nothing much. I'm so excited to be here. Love me some Texas A&M talk. So,
all right.
Good.
So and by the way, you're Kelly Adams. I don't know if you knew
I am, yes.
And you're Matt Browning.
Word.
And we got 2 Matts. It's going to be very difficult for me to do this, but we'll figure it out. We're going to start off with Matthew. Because you go by Matthew or Matt?
I'll go by Matthew.
I'm going to call you Luke. I'm just kidding. All right.
Don't insult him. We don't like that guy.
What is on your mind in regards to Aggie athletics?
Aggie athletics. Look, the Pulse, I think, has a lot of people nervous for a couple of reasons, right? We got some big-name coaches. What are they going to do this year, right? Some big cornerstone years for some of these guys. But right now, what am I feeling? I mean, college football starts this weekend. What are we talking about here? I'm so pumped just to watch all college football. But look, Texas A&M is next week. You better believe I'm going to be on the first deck. I'm going to be absolutely hooting and hollering. I cannot wait. I'm excited. There's a lot of talent on this football team. I just can't wait. So I can't even think about football or basketball and baseball right now because I am locked in.
You're all in with Aggie football. Mr. Kelly Adams.
I love it. That makes me want to run through a wall.
I was going to say, his energy is palpable.
Yeah.
Well, Kelly, I know
it's palpable.
You were probably up late last night hoping and praying that the Astros would lose so you could come back on this show and say what?
That the Texas Rangers remain in first place. It's getting narrow, but that doesn't matter. All it takes is one game to win the division.
That is true. By the way, what have they done in the last 6 games?
Not well.
Oh, sorry. I did
not
know that.
all. The good news is that the Astros really haven't done much better. There was 2.5 games when the Rangers started their losing streak. They were 2.5 games up. Now they're a game up. The Astros had a real chance, but they had a real chance.
No, they got 2 World Series rings. That means they know how to last. Matt Browning, what is on your mind?
What's up, man?
What's
how
up,
are
son?
you? It's good to see you, bud.
You got a little swag today, man.
I know. I'm as excited as he is. I am as excited as Matthew here is because it is, man. It's football time. I mean, we've spent this entire
high school
off-season.
starts tomorrow too.
Huh?
I mean, just football. It's football. High school starts tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, we've spent the whole off season, talking basketball and baseball, and then we go through the
same talking points about football over and over.
Dregs of the summer, or June when it's tough and all that. Now it's time, and I'm pumped. I'm pumped. I'm getting more excited. Just like every year, we all do it. We're down, and then we kind of get built up, and then come close to the start of the season, we start to get fired up. Be like, this team's going to be good. This team is going to be good, and our mind just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And it's funny because you see that too. Like last week we talked about how it's so weird, the differences in the national perspective of A&M. Some people think we're going to be down here. Some people think we're going to be up here. And it seems like it keeps getting better and better and better. People are really starting to see what we may be capable of this year. The talent's there. I think that the main thing that we want to see is just tons of improvement, especially in this first game. Good offensive line play would be fun to watch.
I like that too. Yeah,
I'd like some creativity on the offense and defensive end.
Yeah.
Just both sides. A little creativity would be nice.
A little movement in the backfield.
Possibly.
Wide receivers moving pre-snap. That would be.
We can even do pre-snap movement on the defensive end. That'd be changed too.
Why not?
Honestly, though, I don't want to be the guy that's different than everybody, but I am. I just want to see efficiency, right? Like, I don't need to have trick plays. I don't need to have the flea flicker. Do I want to see some creativity? Absolutely. Do I want to see a 3rd and 2, we shove it down their flipping throats? Absolutely. I want to see
100%.
I just want to see discipline football, and I want to see a team that hasn't played since November that expects to play through January.
I think about what's in the last, let's say, 20 years. What's the two seasons you think of the most? 2012 and 2020, right?
Yeah.
What did those two have in common? Two of the best offensive lines we've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
And you go back and look at LSU last year, the best game our offensive line played the entire season. That's the difference. That's why I'm thinking this O-line, I know we still have some question marks there in regards to who's actually going to be on the field, especially come New Mexico. But, I mean, I just want to see offensive line do what they're supposed to do. I think all the other positions are already so solidified. We already know outside of the DBs, but that can kind of, that can be negated by the play of the D-line and the linebackers. But if we can see some just true bulldozing O-line, that will tell us what this season's going to be like.
Yeah, and I think we're going to find out week 2, right? I think Miami, right, they got a little bit buffed on both sides of the ball, offensive and defensive line. I think week 2, if we start to see a push on both sides of the ball, that to me is going to tell me, wow, okay, this team could be good, right? Then obviously you get right into the SEC play, like 2 weeks later with Auburn, Arkansas, Alabama, of course.
You need them there.
Yeah, so I'm really excited for the offensive line, and I like the competition too.
Miami's going to be excited for that game.
Yeah.
The team. I know the fan base.
Yeah.
Nobody comes to watch Miami. But the team, I mean, they're going to be up for that after the poor season they had last year. Like you say, they retooled a little bit. They're going to be ready to go.
They had the same season we had.
Yeah.
So we better be too.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I agree.
And what's the losing streak on the road? 6, right? True road games. So that's your first opportunity to let's go. Let's get some wins. The most important thing, I don't know about the most important thing, but I just want to be able to go into halftime of New Mexico. I'm already jumping to halftime of New Mexico with a 30-point lead. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, I don't want 10-7, 17-3. No, I want 35-0, and then we can have a bunch of younger players play.
Yeah. Hey, I'll take it. Mark me down.
If we're up 35-0 at halftime, I'm okay winning 42-0 at that point. Let the young guys play, fiddle around a little bit, do some different things, flex your muscles, and then let everybody else do something.
For the record, that's been my expectation the last 2 years, right? Sam Houston State and Kent State. That was my expectation. And both of those were a little closer at halftime than we expected, and that was a sign of things to come.
I do think both of those teams are probably better than New Mexico State.
New Mexico.
Apologize.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about 23 and 23. So yesterday was McKinley Jackson. Today is Anaya Smith. 2 veterans on the team. Take it away, guys. Just McKinley Jackson's worth on the team. I'll let you start, Matthew.
McKinley Jackson's worth, invaluable. I mean, I think we saw it like 128th, right, in run percentage against. Teams were running against us 61% of the time last year. That is a ridiculous number. 128th in the country. That's unacceptable. Right? When you lose a guy on the inside like McKinley Jackson, he's invaluable, right? We're talking about a highly rated player, experienced, right? A leader on that team. I think him coming back, that was invaluable. I think that was a huge get for us, really helping out those young guys because we're really young on the defensive line. right? And last year you saw it when Tunmise Adelie also went down. That was really tough as well on us. So I think having him back, that is going to be massive.
He's big enough, strong enough, experienced enough, good enough to control both A-gaps at the same time.
Yes.
And if he could control both A-gaps at the same time, then you could push guys into the B-gap. You can adjust, change the way we rush and move. We could do a lot of stunts and different things up front if he could control both of those gaps at the same time. And that's going to make a huge difference. That's the trick.
And throw talent out the window, just the age and the leadership.
Yep.
Having those upperclassmen, those seniors like that on that team, especially with that young D-line, just setting good examples, that sort of thing. I love when we have old timers like that, right?
Yeah,
old timers. Yeah, something about old timers.
Do you get to
right?
be OG Matt now? Is that what it is?
I don't know. I feel older.
Do you know what OG stands for?
Yeah, original gangster.
All right, my dog. That's my
Wasn't that kind of our generation that started with all that?
Yeah.
We got gray hairs. Anyway, Anaya Smith, number 2 on the list. I'm going to let you, Kelly, go first on his worth to this team. By the way, I made the statement earlier. He could absolutely be number 1 on that. So could McKinley. I had to deduct a little bit of points, at least on my ranking, because of injuries. Just a little bit, right? But they could absolutely be number 1.
I think on the field, we were talking about versatility, creativity a minute ago. He's the one that gives us that. I mean, one play lines up at tailback, next play lines up in the slot, the next play lines up at fullback. He can motion into those places. I mean, who's cover? You know, if you got the coverage you want in the slot, great. If you don't, motion him into the backfield, and you can change the coverage from the defense and do whatever you want to. That guy's everywhere. So on the field, like him and the tight end position are usually going to be the guys that like affect how creative we can really be. With that being said, off the field, leadership, experience. I mean, he's also a guy that appears, I'm not in the locker room, but he appeared to not take a whole lot of crap from people. And he puts them in their place when they need to be done. And you got to have a guy that can do that appropriately. And that's going to be tricky, so.
Matthew, I want you to go next, but I've got some new people in the chat. You must have brought the kids involved because Tyler says, this Matthew guy seems to know what he's talking about. And then we've got
that's a nice chain, too.
Sawyer. I've never seen Sawyer on the chat before. This guy, Matthew, is legit. So have all your family keep commenting.
Yeah.
We need it. Kelly, can you have somebody who loves you to comment on the show, too?
That list is small.
Well, I'm not going to argue. Brownie, I'm not going to go there either. No. Go ahead, Matthew.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say, you talk about his value on the offensive side of the ball. Let's talk about special teams as well. Let's not forget about those guys. His value on special teams was really awesome because, you talk about field position, right? Best friend for a defense, best friend for an offense, right? Just not losing it, right? We saw, there were a couple teams last year that really just nosedived, especially on the special teams side of the ball, and that really hurt them, right? Virginia Tech is one of them for sure that stands out to my mind. So just adding him, a little bolster in the special teams as well. And he talked about his leadership. I think he adds value there as well.
All right, let's hit. Well, you didn't tell us. I was going to say at a break, but go ahead.
I'll make it quick. But it's just carbon copy of what I just said about McKinley Jackson. Yeah. Anias is that guy, and Jimbo said it. The coaching staff has said it. He's that guy that on running plays, he's out there blocking harder than anybody. Yeah. Setting that example for these young receivers, these young talented receivers, is huge. Anias is. I'm so glad he came back. He will go down as he's one of the most beloved players on the team. He's going to go down as one of our a fan favorite for years and years and years and years to come. People will remember Nia Smith. Injuries wise, I think he's only had one. I don't remember having any more than one injury. And so he's been a game breaker. He does things that other guys can't do. And I'm thrilled that he's back. And the leadership that he brings, like McKinley Jackson, is, I think, incalculable. It's fantastic.
We got to hit a break. I want to say 2 quick comments. Something that I'm very happy about and also a little worried about. You're too good at this gig. Don't come for my job, bro. All right? All right, Matthew, you're doing great. Thank you very much.
Not you guys.
Right.
Come on.
Let's hit a break here. We'll come back with one more segment here on The Fan Show presented by, who are they? What are they?
Girard Construction.
Girard Construction.
Good people.
Sorry, I didn't realize that. Girard Construction. Go check them out. And we're back. It is TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. I forgot the name of this show. Kelly, what is it again?
It's The Fan Show presented by Girard Construction.
Oh, I did not know that. Thank you very much. We've got Kelly Adams in the house, Matt Browning, and the newbie, Matthew Dawson here, who's making a stake to take over the show completely. Let's talk about David Pollock. Did you guys hear his comments the other day? I'm not going to replay them.
I did not.
What
did you tell me about?
You might need to replay them.
Let's hear
Some
him.
context, please.
Well, you guys don't have headphones, so I should have probably thought about this before. So I'll just basically tell you. He says he can't buy A&M yet because of the culture issues that he saw, that a team that can't overcome having a bunch of 5 stars. By the way, I'm not mad at him for his opinion. No. Like, he's not here. It's whatever. He just can't buy yet. He also can't buy the offense because, if Jimbo can't even admit that, Bobby's the play caller, yada, yada, yada. So we'll start things off. David Pollack's comments aren't his own. I mean, there's many people that share that. We here are close. Are we too close to see what others are seeing?
So from my standpoint on David Pollack, I say that's fair. I'm not mad at him for saying that. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, if I was not an A&M fan, I would probably think the same thing. So I'm not mad at him for it. I mean, his job is to tell you the truth. And I feel like David Pollack does a good job on, and I feel like he's a realist.
Yeah, I like him.
But I think we're too close too a lot of times, but also being close does give us more information that he doesn't have in regards to how this team is gelling. We did get rid of a lot of the bad apples from that class. The relationship between Petrino and Jimbo and everything else, the amount of talent. I mean, so yes, we see it through a little bit of maroon tinted glasses, but at the same time, we're also a little closer, know a little bit more than probably David Pollack does. He's covering every team in college football. We really focus on one. So
Kelly,
in regards to that, Jimbo goes out and recruits the best and most talented kids he can find. We ended up with the #1 class in the country because we got a lot of those kids. Some of them obviously had attitude problems or other issues. And Pollack brings up that's a culture problem on us. And it might be, but it could also be that the fact that the culture is good got those kids removed. And now those kids are other places. And some of them, I think they're all in their second place since they left us. Maybe one's not. So on the one hand, and we'll see going forward, it could be he's right. There is a culture problem. We had all these kids. We have a culture problem. On the other hand, it could be he's 180 degrees wrong in that the culture is good. There was a problem. The culture fixed it. The culture going forward is in the right place. I don't know. We'll see.
And Chris Marshall's at his second place. Denver Harris is on the bench back at LSU. And
I heard Bowie's in the
grades. Yeah. Harris had grades problems at Houston.
In Bowie,
Smoke
back
Bowie's in the portal.
In the portal. So he's looking for his second spot.
Right.
And just the national guys look at every team from a 30,000-foot view. They're not really diving in details-wise.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I agree with everything you guys said. I do think, there's a little bit, feels like there's a little more, definitely like we were talking about, getting rid of the bad apples. Some of these senior guys, I really like these guys, leadership-wise. And I think getting a lot of you had a really young class. You took a lot of kids. Was it 27 freshmen?
And we didn't have a lot of seniors last year.
Didn't have a lot of seniors last year. So I think, the age difference, right? Even in I'm a college kid, right? I'm not, fully mature yet. But, even 1 year of maturity, right, in college can get you a lot of places. So I'm again, like you said, 30,000-foot view from the outside. I totally get why David Pollack said that, and I would not be surprised if almost every other national media cover of college football said that as well. So
we got to drop it right there. Great job.
Yes,
thank you.
Excellent
very much
work.
For coming. Yeah, you know what? All of you.
Hey, can we replace OG Matt with New G Matt?
No,
Squeaky Matt. All right, that's gonna do it for TexAgs Radio on a Thursday. Tomorrow, Andrew Monaco is in studio, and he's bringing some friends. That's all I'm gonna say. That's gonna do it for TexAgs. We'll see you mañana.